There we go. Excellent. We have arrived. Well, we set our approach vectors for October 31st, 2023. We're all still here in physical bodies, live on the earth plane in some form or another, still existing in what we might call a third density realm, yet simultaneously aware of what we might call our fourth, and who knows, maybe even our fifth and sixth density selves all at the same time. And so, yes, we have arrived once again. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this now moment. Whether you're watching on the replay or you're here in the live stream, please hit the like button on the way in. If you can, it's going to do us a great service as we try to navigate waves of, what you might call shadow banning or just sidelining or just, trying to get ourselves out there on a greater level. And I have not been very active in the YouTube realm myself, so part of it's my own, thing. But I really appreciate everyone coming in here and hanging out. And so, yes, as you have heard, for those of you guys that saw the announcement, we are going to be doing some readings here tonight. And I suppose the good news is we don't have too many major announcements. We have one thing coming up next week, which I do want to mention in just a little bit. But we are here tonight or this evening or this afternoon to answer your questions, however strange or odd they may be. So I'm going to ask everybody, if you can, throw some bizarre questions in the chat about the nature of multidimensionality, about the nature of psychic work, about anything that, honestly, anything. We're doing a pure AMA, which does not mean against medical advice. It means ask me anything. And so that's going to be one part of it's kind of an ongoing thing that we do. But so please place any bizarre questions in the chat. And yes, like I said, we're going to be doing some readings. It is a fact. We haven't done a live stream, a tarot live stream in a little while, or at least to me, it feels like it hasn't been a little while. If anybody out there knows, let me know how long it's been. So a lot of you guys already know this, but my concept of time is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. And so anyway, thank you for making it through the portal on this side of the physical timeline. And so, we haven't done anything on Facebook in a really long time. But I'm going to go ahead and click over to the Facebook realm and see if they've allowed us to initiate our live stream. I don't see it. I definitely don't see it. Okay, so we want to give a big thank you to the Facebook AI for kicking us off of our own Facebook live stream. But honestly, it's totally cool. Usually, for a lot of you guys know, like the way the way it goes for me on Facebook is there'll be like between 2 and 4 people that actually watch the Facebook version of it. So my prayer is everybody will just find this over here, and if you can, please do share this video. It does me a great service as well, helping us reach more people. And anyway, has this not been the weirdest Halloween ever? And for some of you guys out there, you'll get a little bit of a kick out of this. I tend to confuse Halloween and Thanksgiving. I don't know why. It's like I'll be referring to one, but I'll say the other word. So don't be surprised if I get it backward. But I think the first question that we have for everybody today is, was this not the weirdest Halloween ever? It's just like all of a sudden, boom, it is there. It's happening. I don't know how this year just kind of dematerialized, before us, but has been absolutely bizarre. I think a big part of it has to do with, a number of what we might call timeline shifts, acceleration phases, maybe even deceleration phases for some of us that were on a very, very rapid path of movement at an earlier stage of this year. Some of that has slowed down. Other people have picked up dramatically. I can tell you that for us in our strange little world over here, the last, I would say 2 months, maybe, let's see, this is the end of October. So I would say since around August, it has been one of the busiest times that we have had in quite some time. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm incredibly grateful for all of those new people that have been finding us out there. Truly, it's an honor. I do not know where they come from most of the time. I rarely ever ask, but we're honored to those of you guys that have been finding us quite literally from all over the world. And this was a thing I was kind of sort of referencing in the Blue Flame Collective Patreon group that we just did just a few days ago, right? I think for those of you guys in the Patreon group, yeah, I think that was Sunday, right? We had an excellent, incredibly deep, really expansive, dedicated energy clearing process that we do for the tier 2 people. But I kind of, I might have remarked upon it there, or maybe at the meeting we had the previous week, which was the regular kind of monthly Patreon thing. But lately I've just noticed, and I want to say this for those of you guys that are out there in other parts of the world, and if you can, let me know what parts of the world you're in. We've just been encountering people from everywhere, quite literally everywhere, from the Netherlands, from I think Croatia. We met a new friend from Croatia recently. All over all corners of Europe. I mean, everywhere out there. And of course, always the Australians. I think Australia is number 2 in terms of just people that tend to find our work, and I don't know how that is. I don't know how, but thank you to those of you that have found this over the last couple months. Honestly, you would never know, given how kind of we're not on a bunch of shows, we're not present everywhere, we're not all over the world on everyone's events, and yet somehow there has been this cast of real, true, expanding beings that keep finding us over and over and over again. And I'm gonna be real. There's this thing that happens when you do a lot of sessions and you do a lot of readings, and by a lot of readings, I mean it's thousands at this point. And you will still, no matter what. And somebody was mentioning this in our Patreon group the other day, the idea of imposter syndrome. And I can tell you that even after, seeing so many people, it still comes down to that moment or that day where I'm like, am I even doing anything? Is this even real? What is even happening? And honestly, I think that's a very healthy level of self in inquiry. There we go, to allow oneself to go into, because um for a lot of us, it becomes just this part of us, this thing that you do, this thing that you are. And I've noticed the less I've been more kind of publicly, kind of describing and talking about the sessions and, the work that I do, the more intense it has gotten behind the scenes. And by intense, I mean everything from intensely positive to intensely emotional to, I mean, just remarkable things. And, I like to think that in the future it'll be kind of, a part of a book that we're going to be putting out. Who knows when that'll happen? But it is on the way. But yeah, I want to say thank you to all those of you out there that keep finding us in this strange realm. And once again, please share this video if you can. Help us reach a wider audience. And so, like I said, we're going to be doing readings, and we're not gonna waste too much time. We're gonna get into them in probably just a few minutes here. And so, the way we're going to be doing readings here tonight is kind of more. We're going to start out with some of our members. So if you are a member of this channel, and if you do want a reading, please say so in the chat, because I do want to get to the members first. Not that it's only about that, but I realize you guys continue to support us on some level. And so if you are a member of this channel, you can absolutely, put your name in for a reading. I believe we also have the super chat function. I'm assuming that works. I don't know. I'm assuming that it does. Maybe it doesn't, but that will also help. But otherwise, we're just gonna kind of roll through the chat and just do readings. And so I guess also another question I have before I make our announcement is, at what age did you stop dressing up for Halloween? Was it ever a thing that you were really involved in? Did you ever like, because like you'll kind of see this trend even now with adults. There's some people that are like die hard into Halloween, and no matter what age they are, they will always choose some form of a costume. At least those of us in the Western world that kind of take part in such things. And then there's a lot of people that don't really care about it at all. I've always been in the middle, and I can tell you that even as a kid, I was never one of those people that would, get dressed up for Halloween. But it wasn't it wasn't for anything negative. I'm definitely not a Halloween hater. I am a Halloween enjoyer, but I'm not a Halloween participator. I guess, if that makes sense. I don't really take part in it, but I think it's a really cool and fun time of year. And honestly, it is always marked with some weird events, celebrities dying, socio-political, upheaval, which was already going on. It's got little, to do with, anything. Well, not that I shouldn't say that. It's got a lot to do with, uh, events like this. But I do believe that, what we might call the veil is incredibly thin. But I also got to say, for those of us that are observant, for those of us that are working with and operating within the realm of spirit on a regular basis, maybe I'm wrong. And please, 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 please tell me if I'm wrong. I always welcome people that are like, hold on, it's actually this or it's that, or I don't believe you. But it feels like it's been this way. When we talk about the concept of the veil being thin, we're talking about, the closeness and the just the yeah, like the absolute closeness of the realm of spirit, what we might call that shared fourth density astral space. And people talk about how during Halloween, the veil's even thinner than before, and I believe it is. I believe it is. It's kind of like tide that will rise and fall, and I've noticed that has a lot less to do, with the dates, and a lot more to do with our collective consciousness, based upon all the amount of rituals and spiritual energy that's been put forth over the ages during this time of year. So yes, we have also greatly aided within that process, but I'm gonna be real, just I would say for this whole year, and maybe, before, maybe it has more to do with my levels of perception or lack of perception, but it feels as though we've been living in a stage of just absolute kind of split second closeness, like that, like literally right up next to us, of all of those things we talk about within, the lower astral plane, the upper vibrational realms, all of that is present here with us in this now moment. And anyway, I'm already going on a strange rant, but the first announcement I will make before we start doing readings, I guess really the only announcement, and I do have to look at my phone so I can tell you the actual date. Because we, as a lot of you guys know, we do a lot of groups and whatnot throughout the month, which it's been pretty regular. But one thing we have not been doing too much is any of the kind of YouTube members groups. And I know there's a whole crew of you guys that have been members and a part of our channel, and kind of putting a, you can been investing a little bit of your money into this strange channel over the past few months. And we haven't really done much. It's honestly, it's a very awkward system. YouTube takes more than half of it, which is wonderful. But we're going to be doing a members only kind of a show, kind of a meetup, kind of a just a time in which we're going to be doing readings. And I do believe, I think we've said this before, but I'm pretty sure Honora is also going to be a part of it as well. And so I do want to let you know when that's going to be. It's going to be on Saturday, November 11th. So 11/11. 11/11. We're going to be doing a members only, just kind of a special appearance. What we're going to be doing during that is we're going to be doing some private readings. Who knows? We could even do a little bit of energy work. We can, we're just going to answer questions. It's going to be kind of a slightly more private layer of interaction, specifically for the members of this strange channel. So if you are a member, please set your calendar. For those of you guys that want to join us, it's going to be Saturday, November 11th. And I do believe, I'm pretty sure we're going to do it a little bit later. Well, earlier than we did it here today, but probably probably around 6 p.m. Eastern. So for those of you guys on the West Coast, or, in between, early late afternoonish, it could be at 3. We might also do it at 7. I will make a more kind of firm announcement in terms of the time, but it's going to be November 11th, next Saturday. We're going to be doing a members only group. And so anyway, I've been ignoring everybody in the chat, but greetings everyone, and thank you for being here. I just kind of opened up and went into this strange rant zone, but greetings everybody. Boom. From the very top, Ed and Lorraine Warren's documentary is on Travel Channel. Nice. I wish, I got to be honest with you. What's up, all is one, by the way? Good to see you. I seem to have lost the ability to watch television on any level. So I don't know what that is, man. I can watch stuff on YouTube for a little while, I can kind of stay with it, in certain areas, but for some reason, I watch hardly anything lately, but I do go down really strange wormholes of like this obsessive, watching of certain topics. Um, some of you guys know this. I was talking with somebody, I think, boom, there it is. I was talking with White Swan recently. How's it going? Oh, hey. And I was kind of mentioning that, one of the only things I consistently watch on a regular basis is backrooms videos. Some of you guys are familiar with the backrooms concept or the backrooms dimension. And I'm still in there, man. I am still in it. I just kind of searched them out. There's so many hundreds and maybe even thousands of backrooms videos, creators now. It truly is kind of an alternate realm that people have aided, in part with their co-creative consciousness and, creating this alternate dimension. And yeah, nearly all of it's, animated CGI or, a number of programs that, they will use to create it. Some of them are just footage from this video game, but it's quite literally a whole alternate dimension at this point, at least by my viewpoint. I believe it is, in my opinion and experience. However, I still have not had the experience yet of waking up in the back rooms, and I'm curious if anyone has. If you've ever glitched into the back rooms, if you're not familiar with the back rooms, you can just do a little search on YouTube later. For you can just do like hashtag backrooms found footage, backrooms found footage, and it'll open you up to a very, very bizarre world that some people really aren't into. Some people are horribly bored by it. It kind of depends on the weirdness of your own kind of consciousness, because some people are fascinated with it, other people are like, what? It's just an empty, dimension that's like this series of office hallways in this horrible yellow color forever and ever and ever. And then eventually you run into a bunch of strange entities and all kinds of, weird energetic anomalies within that space. And to me, it's fascinating. Honestly, one of the most fascinating kind of, we could call trends of creator content that is out there. But like I said, because I believe I believe it's an alternate dimension. But anyway, thank you. All is one. I appreciate you. There it is. I see it. Thank you for your donation to our channel. YouTube thanks you as well. Seriously though, but thank you. It's very, very, very kind of you. We're going to be doing a reading for you. Oh, she says I didn't donate for a reading. That's okay. We'll probably pull a card for you anyway. But what's up, Hopeful Art? She says, I love dressing up, especially as a kid at Halloween. The only time my mother would let me to get a shitload of candy. You know what? We got a lot of candy too. I just, for some reason, I never went all in on the Halloween kind of dress up phase. And it's not even that I didn't want to. I've just noticed it was never like a major priority for me. I don't know why. And maybe that's partially a male thing, but I did notice my son didn't really get into Halloween either. So maybe, it's just us in our own strange way. But I honestly love it. I love seeing like all of the weird, mass produced corporate fanfare around it every year. I just think it's a cool time of year. And anyway, what's up, Greg Herrera? Good to see you. Thank you for rolling through. Nice. Aurora Diamond Heart just got done trick-or-treating. Cool. Hell yeah. I honestly, I would totally go. Like at this stage, I would love to, but yeah, anyway. Did you get Reese's? Hopefully. Hopefully. That's one of the only candies that I will still eat. But then again, I will admit, I'm definitely one of those people that during kind of like, that little mini holiday Halloween season, I will buy candy not to give out to anyone. I'll literally buy it just to eat it, which is what I've been doing for like the past couple weeks, honestly, for real. For real. But anyway, so please do join us. Coming up next Saturday, 11/11, we're going to be doing our members only gathering, doing some readings and whatnot. Nora will be with us. Selena says making cheeseburgers. Hell yeah, totally. There are a lot of backrooms videos. There absolutely are. It's like an entire movement now. Pat Windsor says, hello, everyone. Hi, Matt. I haven't watched TV in years. Me either. I don't understand it now, Pat. You are not alone. Not alone. I will, yeah, I will watch, certain things that have types of, specific info or experiences or, certain things. I'll still watch them. There's a lot of movies from the 90s that I will still go back and check out. There's like some older things that when I come across it, I can still watch it. But by and large, I have just lost my ability to keep up with kind of the flow of popular media, which honestly is a really good thing because I remember um, just people talking to me about subject matter that was present, in a lot of shows and whatnot that I feel like if I had have watched them, I would have been influenced on some level in terms of some of the things that we've discovered and perceived within, the work that we're doing. Especially when it came to, stuff about cloning and kind of like other weird subjects in which we had been receiving a lot of disclosure through, like Netflix shows and whatnot. Um, yeah, I never saw any of it. So it's like I feel like on some level I have been aided by not being front loaded by the ongoing imagery that's present within, popular media. It's like I haven't seen any of it, so I have no basis for comparison of something that was, being put out there to, alter or influence collective consciousness. It's like I don't have any of those examples, so I think it kind of keeps us, just a little bit more clear from being influenced in certain ways. And I feel like I'm articulating that very, very awkwardly. So, so hopefully that makes sense. What's up, Rocks? It's lights out for us. Too cold for these kids to be out and dangerous. There's always this man outside yelling, "Help!" Whoa, what's going on out there? Damn, but never takes it when it arrives. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. That sounds like an exciting neighborhood or area that you're in there. Red Orion Art says, nope, haven't ended up there, but sounds cool. Why not? Oh, you're talking about back rooms. And absolutely, I think they're awesome. I think it's a fascinating place. You can go down a really cool wormhole on YouTube. And some of them are horrible. I'll be real. Some of the backrooms videos, it's like I'll watch it for literally 5 seconds. I'm like, nope, this sucks. Instantly out. But yeah, we definitely regularly still partake in that. I also notice I've been watching a lot of those cheesy like top 10 paranormal video like channels, they're like the top 10 most scariest, whatever it is video. For some reason, I still watch those. I still get pulled in, not because anything real ever happens. I think I just enjoy kind of like the, like the setup and, just the content. And honestly, so much of it is fake that I think it's kind of like a guilty pleasure in terms of content that I keep coming back to. But I definitely still watch those. And anyway, what's up, Dulcie? Said it had snow thunder here tonight. Whoa, what part of the country are you in? I kind of wish we had snow thunder over here in Florida. I believe it's technically possible. It could, right? I think it is. It could definitely happen. Absolutely. Thank you. Aurora Diamond Heart is currently dressed as a bat. I think that is a perfect idea. Hopefully you saw that meme of Britney Spears riding the bat. I think you did. I think you probably shared it in your own right, or maybe it was you that posted it. It was you that posted it. My prayer is you're wearing that outfit. Seriously. The bat outfit, I mean. Boom. Red Orion says, I don't eat candy though. I do. I definitely will. I definitely will. What's up, Andromeda? And why do people like horror things? That's a very good question. I think we as humans love to be scared. We love to have, like adrenaline pumping through us. We love to have those moments where we experience the suspension of disbelief through things like movies and video games and just, the thrill that it gives us. Because I think on a certain level, it allows people to kind of feel a little bit of that. And also a part of their subconscious still knows it's something that they're observing. So, we don't get as affected by it, but it allows you to kind of partake in the intensity of it in maybe more a fun way. At least that's kind of what comes to mind as you ask that. That said, I was very, very into a number of kind of horror video games for a long time, which is weird. I can't think of any. I can't think of any in this moment, which is kind of dumb. But anyway. Well, not that it's necessarily horror. Maybe it was survival horror, but the Resident Evil series, definitely. Uh, what else? The Last of Us, which was another kind of like survival horror story, which is, oh man, excellent, excellent. Some of you guys out there will know what I'm talking about. Some of you won't care. Whenever we branch momentarily off into video game realm, we probably lose a lot of people. But but yeah, there have been a number of them. There is one that I'm definitely looking forward to getting into. Once again, maybe some of you guys will know it, maybe not, but it just came out, Alan Wake 2, which I actually already have. I just have not. I have not started playing it at all. But Alan Wake 2 looks to me to be pretty good. I did play the original Alan Wake. I think it came out in like 2010, which I wouldn't really call like a horror story on any level. I don't really know what to call it, which I think is kind of why that series is unique in its own way. But we only have the example of the very first story, so it's kind of like I haven't played the new version of it yet. Um, that was a big one, totally. Aurora Diamond Heart knows Last of Us. Totally. I'm gonna be real though. I did not. The Last of Us 2 did not hit me. It just didn't work for me. It something as soon. I don't know. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. Something felt too woke from the start. It was like it was inaccessible to me. But yeah. Oh, nice. Andromeda. Nice. We played Alan Wake. Honestly, dude, in my opinion, it was a great game. I loved Alan Wake 1. I love that he didn't get out of, he is, from at least from what I recall, and I know this now because I watched some of the reviews of like the newer game, but he got stuck in that kind of dark realm. And what's weird is, having played through the entire first game, I kind of don't even remember how it ended. It felt like it was like this whole other physical timeline. So anyway, thank you everyone. Red Orion Art says, I still play video games sometimes, though usually not scary ones. I feel you. I feel you. It's not for everyone. Cena Kia says, bypass tool. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Depending on what it is you're trying to bypass. Maybe a spiritual bypass tool. It may very well be. But yeah, you never know. Anyway, I think it's time. I think we're going to start doing a few readings. I know a couple people, when I mentioned it, mentioned in the chat already. And so I'm going to annoy you and ask you to mention it again as we transition into reading phase. And I don't know, maybe who knows what they're going to be focused on. I think we're just going to kind of pull cards and see what comes up. If you can, in the chat, tell me what was your most, if you have a favorite Halloween costume that you've dressed up as over the years, let us know what it is. Or maybe you observed one that was very, very cool. Did you dress up this year? If you did, what did you dress up as? I wish I had the energy for such things. I wish I had the energy for such things. But in the background, we're going to be dutifully shuffling our new cards. A lot of you guys in the YouTube realm don't know this, but we recently have a new tarot deck. It's the same one as before. It's just new cards. And so you honestly, you do kind of have to like break in your cards anytime you, at least for me, it's like you'll crack open this new deck of cards like after a time, and yeah, they're just very stiff, and you really got to kind of get your energy into them. And however, I also realize that not that many people will kind of, read cards to such a level that you'll wear out a deck of cards, but I have many of them at this point, quite a few. I wouldn't say a dozen, but, probably, somewhere. Actually, I'd say about one a year. I've noticed every year since I started doing this work on a professional level, I would say about once a year, I will end up kind of recycling, the old cards and bringing in new ones. And for those of you guys that don't know, some of you guys don't know this, but we use Robin Wood Tarot. And so this is also the one that we teach with. And I'll just give you an example, not that anyone cares, but it's like you will do so many readings when you truly begin doing this work. You'll do so many readings, and you guys can see the difference between, this is 1 year worth of kind of reading cards, and you'll notice they get kind of dirty, they get really bent, they get really crinkled up. And then here's the brand new one. You know what I mean? You can tell there's a very distinct difference. And I realize I'm kind of covering it with my fingers so I don't drop them. But you can tell there's a very distinct difference just in like the quality of energy and the appearance. And I'm not trying to make it weird. I'm just saying you will make certain observations when you do this kind of work on a professional level, and you can see the amount of energy. Wrong side. You can see the amount of energy that has been expended and ran through and kind of channeled through this deck of cards. For those of you guys that can perceive it in your own way, and it's like it gathers energy, it pulls in thought forms. I think for a lot of us, love it or hate it, whether it's fearful or cool, you will begin to use these tools as what we might call, in some cases, portals, or and I'm sure there's a lot of other words you could use, but we are using such tools to define truth and energy through spirit. And what I've noticed is that over the year, that's like they definitely wear out. So kind of every year we will switch over to a new one. And so yeah, now we are on the new deck. Anyway, kind of a little bit of a cheesy observation thing that I've noticed over the past few years. Maybe it's a visual representation of the intensity of energy that gets passed through. But anyway, one more, and then here we go. I realize I always stall for a long time. So I'm going to scroll up in the chat and we're going to find a person. I'm just going to find, this is our starting point right here. Boom. What's up? Troy Stengel. How's it going? We're going to start with you just because that's the one that caught my eye. And so our first reading today is going to be for Troy Stengel. We're just going to do one card. A lot of you guys know this if you've been in our Patreon group. I thrive on the 1 or 2 card readings. I think there's an incredible amount of data and relevance that can come with it. But, sometimes it leaves us wanting. And so I will say this, everyone, take it with a grain of salt. Let your body tell you what's true. Grab onto the places that you can grab onto, use whatever works, and throw the rest out. Every single intuitive is looking through your energy field through a little keyhole or their limited perspectives that we hold, and myself included, every single one of us. And so you will know what's real. And so anyway, take what you can. But for Troy Stengel, here we go. This is our first reading of the evening, Halloween 2023. For those of you guiding Troy, we're just looking for a little bit of relevant information, anything that needs to be known or seen or heard. And here we go. Boom. Thank you, Troy Stengel. As the first receiver of a card here today, you've got a 7 of Wands. And for everyone at home, you can see what it is. It's this guy, and he looks like he's fighting or he's very defensive. And you can see there's wands down underneath you, and maybe they're pointing at you. Maybe they're coming for you. We don't know. And so, for Troy Stengel specifically, there's an advantage that you have right now in your physical environment, in your physical realm, in the places in your life where you feel in conflict with yourself or others. The true lesson of the 7 of Wands is that you are on higher ground. You are in an advantageous position when it comes to something within you that feels confrontational or defensive or at times cut off from others. You're not below them. You're on an entirely different level. And so, the best thing we can do with it at times, it's not the only best thing, but one of the best things you can do with the 7 of Wands is drop your defensiveness. You're already head and shoulders above everyone else that you might feel, in contention with. And usually the true conflict is within ourselves, in kind of understanding that we are in a different position, that we do have an advantage, that in many ways, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you're actually a lot better off than other people. And it's not necessarily meant to give you this perspective of gratitude. It's not about going like, oh, well, I'm doing so much better, I'm grateful. It's not that. It's more from the perspective of realizing how well you've protected yourself, how you've strengthened yourself, how you've learned to wield off negative forces or negative energies. In many cases, you had to fight through a lot of things with the 7 of Wands. And so when the 7 of Wands comes in, you really got to give yourself credit. And we're not going to define you as being in a defensive position or having confrontational energy. and sometimes it's just internal conflict stuff, but you're doing better than you think. So give yeah, give yourself a break. Maybe you've been being hard on yourself, possibly. But anyway, thank you. Thank you, Troy Stengel. It's good to see you. Let's grab one of our members here. If you're a member and you want a reading, if you're a member of this channel, please once again reinsert your question. I realize you already did, but it's buried in the chat and I'll be digging through it for like, oh, here's one. What's up? Feng Shui Susan, thank you for being a part of our channel. Thank you for supporting us. She says, does my husband Jerry, who passed 1 year ago tomorrow, have any words for me? That's a very good question. We're going to pull a card and ask for a message from Jerry. And I also do want to let you know, I'm not necessarily the type of psychic that does mediumistic work. We have received a number of messages and we do routinely connect with people who have passed on in a number of forms. But I don't necessarily really at all specialize in kind of spirit communication from the perspective of, people that have passed on. But Honora does. Absolutely. Honora is incredible at it. And so, anyway, what we can do is ask for any relevant symbols or guidance or images or anything that needs to be known from Jerry. And so, that's a little bit of a disclaimer, I guess. A little bit of a disclaimer. Take everything with a grain of salt as we just honor the spirit of Jerry and we honor his energy. And also for Feng Shui Susan. Take a couple breaths with me, Susan, and everyone else. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Okay. I should have pulled it up with you watching. But Feng Shui Susan, when we ask for a message, you have received a very, very beautiful thing. And I realized maybe I didn't pull it out in front of you because I was a little bit worried about what the message was. I realized that was a little bit of a change in my normal routine of how we do such things. But, and I'm not going to, this can be interpreted a number of ways. But when a 10 of Cups enters your life, and let's say we are asking for a message from Spirit, the 10 of Cups is like that scene at the end of the movie when the credits are rolling and everyone's together and everyone's happy and everyone's enjoying this moment. And honestly, if I were to guess, and maybe I'm making it too cheesy, maybe I'm making it too simple or silly, Susan, but it's almost like someone's looking down on you from heaven in this card. You can see it. It's like a light in the sky and everyone's kind of, looking down and smiling, and maybe that's just a fanciful image. But when we ask for a message and a 10 of Cups rolls in, understand that this is one of the happiest endings that you can have in the world of tarot. It is the one that everyone yearns for, where everything is whole and everything is now complete. And we get to choose what we take with us from this timeline and this realm, certain memories, certain emotions, certain energy, certain relationships, certain elements of our self-identity. So when you ask yourself questions like, how is he doing? Or what do we need to know about his energy? This is absolutely the most blissful and beautiful and healing outcome that a person can have in the world of tarot. But it is, and this is kind of a fact for those of you guys that know multidimensional tarot, all the 10s are endings. And so along with it, a certain chapter will end. When all the 10s roll in, depending on which one you get, it's a certain type of an ending. And it kind of comments on the type of ending it is or what's happening in it. And yes, it is the end of an era, but it's the most beautiful one that you can have. And so it's not like it's a specific message from him, I would say, other than to say that there is love, that energy is present alongside you, that he's probably looking at you right now, if you want to call it looking down from heaven or that alternate dimensional plane. And in my opinion, it's a very, very beautiful thing to get. And so I pray that you feel comforted by that message, because honestly, it's one of the coolest ones. It's one of the coolest ones you can get. And I realize it doesn't give you a lot of info. Maybe it doesn't answer certain questions. Maybe it doesn't tell us all about certain, things or, wavelengths of, communication. But I think it's telling you to have faith, to, just continue to move forward and know that he's doing really, really good. And so I hope that helps. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We're just going to go right underneath that. What's up, Andromedan? Next up, we're going to do a reading for Andromedan. Let's pull a card. Once again, please share this video if you can. If you're on social media, if you have like a Facebook page, go over to Facebook and share this video. That means usually one person will do it. So whoever that one person is that does it, thank you for doing that. Or you can share it on Telegram. That's my least active social media platform. For some reason I have like a kind of a mini Telegram disability. It's just weird. Anyway, this is for the Andromedan. Anything Andromedan needs to be made aware of? I feel your throat, and every now and then that's also my throat, Andromedan. But usually when we're doing these readings over Zoom or even over social media, when I'll attempt to connect with a person's energy, it's like I'll feel a sensation within the body, and it's usually just like a little something in a certain area. And it was like right as I kind of zoomed in on you and said that, it was like a little poke right in the throat. And we could say, when energy like that comes up, it's about communication. And about, we could say power in communication. We could say clarity in communication. It's not really about what you're communicating, though. It's more about the way that you're doing it. And so you might be coming into a stage where you're going to be experiencing some upgrades or some healing or some changes within just the manner in which you communicate with this world. And take it with a grain of salt. Here comes the card. Boom. Whoa. Okay. All right. You've probably heard this before. Maybe you haven't. If you've hung out with us in the past, you received pretty much my favorite card in the world of tarot. I think it's my favorite card because it showed up for me at a very important time. And so for other people, it'll just be like, yeah, whatever, it's not necessarily that big of a deal because there's a lot of mystery that comes with a Six of Swords. And maybe you can see it, Andromedan and everybody else. When you have a Six of Swords, yes, that's you in the boat. That's you on a very particular stage of this journey, wherein when you look at it long enough, you really stare at it, you realize you've got no way to row yourself across the water. But there's a guide, there's a ghost, there's an apparition within that boat with you. And that being, that energy is taking you on a very specific stage of your journey. The stage of your journey in which you have many tools. Look at all those swords you have. Those are abilities in communication, abilities in discernment, psychic energy, non-physical energy. Each one of these swords in the Six of Swords has a specific purpose. But the problem with Six of Swords is that when it comes into your life, the tools that you have right now might not necessarily be the ones that you need in the now moment. Because, yeah, you could have six swords, but how are you going to row yourself across the water? Are you going to use the swords? It doesn't really work. And so the Six of Swords will show up when you're being taken on a stage of the journey in spirit in some form, whether large or small, sometimes in a really big way, depending on what you're going through, or sometimes in just a little way. Spirit will be doing something for you that you cannot do for yourself, which at certain times in your life is a really, really big deal. And at other times in your life, it's something that will go unseen. Most people will look at this card and they might not even see that there's an apparition in the boat with them. They won't even notice that there's something behind them moving them forward in some form or another. In a short time, or eventually, when this stage of the journey is over, you will be on the other side of that shore. You can probably see it as I get right up on the screen here. In the short time, you'll be at that little light on a distant shore, and that's when a lot of the gifts or abilities or the next stage of whatever it is you're doing or becoming will come into play. But when Six of Swords is out, you might just be on the stage of the journey where you have to let go of the idea of control, which is a hard thing to do. It's a thing that I had to do it, and I've had to do it a number of intervals. And anyway, I hope that helps, Andromedan. Thank you for being a part of this strange group of hybrid beings that hangs out at the multi-dimensional trailer park. We're going to find some other members. If you're a member of this channel, please put your name in the chat. I'm scrolling through trying to find you. Kelly Dolan asked a question. I don't know if he asked for a reading, but I saw your little membership thing, so my eye was drawn to you. But he says, "What do you do with old tarot decks?" Honestly, I've just been kind of putting them in a box, or they'll sit on my desk for a little while. I have noticed that I have a tendency every now and then to try to bring one back where I'm like, maybe it's still good. Yeah, I could still use it. But usually they get really bent up because I shuffle like over and over and over again. And so they get, they'll get like creased up. And I just kind of put them in a box and just kind of, they're just kind of sitting in this little closet over there. Who knows what I will end up doing with them? There was yeah, who knows? Who knows? Maybe something in the future. But yeah, I probably would never throw them away. I don't know what I would do with them, honestly. But anyway, since you're here, we're gonna pull a card for you for Mr. Kelly Dolan. You might not have asked for one, so that was kind of just it is being thrust upon you. It is being thrust upon you. For those of you assisting Kelly Dolan, we're just asking for any good news, anything that needs to be known in the heart of this Halloween season when the veil is so thin. We just ask for a message from Spirit, whatever it needs to be known. 3, 2, 1, boom. Well, Mr. Kelly Dolan, you have received one of the most intense people in the entire world of multidimensional tarot. Seriously, though. So a lot of you guys know this because you've hung out here before. You have your own relationship with tarot, and some of you don't. That's okay. So a lot of people are also learning, but you have the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords is intensity in motion. It can be blissful intensity. It can be rageful intensity. It is the power of the voice. It thrives upon the power of the voice. It thrives upon the clarity and the discernment and the empowerment of your communication. And so, when it shows up, it's asking you to be heard. It's in some cases, those will be messages that will be given from Spirit. In other cases, they will be words that need to be said, things that have been left unexpressed within the body that at times can lead us to a little bit of energetic pressurization. That is what we could call one of the downsides of the Knight of Swords, is that he can become intensely pressurized in his energy body and his emotional body from lack of expression. Or let's say he has a lot of intense emotions that have not been fully released from the body. Those can kind of at times be problems for the Knight of Swords. But when it shows up, and let's say you have it in a moment, say a moment like this, when we're asking, are there any, areas of opportunity? It would be time for you to start talking about certain things, to start speaking out about certain things, to be sending a very, very particular type of message. And it could be on behalf of other people, because it could also be on, behalf of yourself, really. But Knight of Swords, in some cases, will speak on behalf of others. They will kind of do work on behalf of others. You can imagine from the lens of, what a knight would do in the world of tarot. Knights are the ones that have to go out there and actually do it. They're the ones that actually have to initiate certain processes and, go on the actual missions. And so when the Knight of Swords is out, you are on a mission of enhancing power in communication. And we could say also allowing certain things to take place. Because like I said, Spirit will give you messages with the Knight of Swords, but they will come intensely. And sometimes they'll come as warnings. Sometimes they'll come as this strange voice suddenly shouting in your head with urgency to begin to do or see or speak to certain people. There is a sense of urgency. And, even when you look at the image with Knight of Swords, you can tell there's like some urgency. He's swooping down from the heavens with a highly electrified sword, bringing in knowledge, bringing in, intensity. I guess I'm getting kind of redundant right now, but he's the energy of the throat. And so use it. Use it if you can. I hope that finds you well. Thank you, Kelly Dolan. Red Orion says, I carry my Robin Wood deck around in a glass Tupperware in case it rains or something stupid happens. It doesn't get damaged. I feel you. I've had them get damaged, definitely. I think I spilled a bunch of coffee on one deck of cards and I just threw it out. Actually, that is the one that I threw out because it was like just had all kinds of coffee and sugar and stuff. And I was just like, fuck it, instantly, like, whatever. So I did actually throw it out, but honestly, it was ruined. It was like soaked with, so whatever, it happens. But yeah, Tupperware is cool. I kind of just keep them on my desk here, but I guess because I use them like pretty much every single day. I always say for almost every single day, for better or worse. For better or worse. And sometimes it's for worse because it's a thing that's going to happen, especially when you do this work all the time. You will notice energy flows differently. You'll notice it's easier for you to discern things often for others than it is for yourself. You won't always take your own advice. Spirit will speak to, I think, the reader differently than spirit speaks through the reader. So, it's a very, very particular thing. And anyway, let's do some more readings. We're just going to grab some people. If anyone here is a member, please throw it out there. Otherwise, I'm going to grab a person at random. Here's one. Boom. Tanita Danzo. Greetings. Thank you for being here. You showed up at the right moment. I don't know how long ago you put that message in. It looks like it was a few minutes past, so hopefully you're still here. But yes. Let's pull a card for Tanita Danzo. And as we just honor all those of you that walk alongside us in this mortal realm, we just ask for anything important, anything that needs to be known, anything that needs to be acknowledged. For all those of you guiding Tanita, I want you to take it with a grain of salt, receive whatever feels relevant, and throw anything else out. Here we go, Tanita. 3, 2, 1, and boom. All right. Okay. It's really hard to make this a bad time. I'm going to be real. You have a 3 of cups, which is very enjoyable. I mean this literally. It's the energy of enjoyment. It's the energy of partying. It's the energy of you alongside other people. And look, you can see the symbolism of it, even if you don't know anything about tarot. Even if you'd never seen a tarot card and someone said, well, what does this mean? What does this have to do with anything? You'll notice it's women dancing. It is merrymaking. It is companionship. It is friendship. It is getting together with other people. Sometimes you're having drinks. Sometimes you're hanging out. Sometimes you're laughing hysterically. Every now and then you're crying hysterically as well. I got to be real. The downside of it is it can go from incredible enjoyment to hysteria very, very easily. It usually goes back and forth in one way or the other. And, even if we did things like reverse cards, which we don't do here, it's nobody ever needs to do it. Some of you know I'm going to say this. There's no need to ever reverse your cards in the world of tarot, you guys. Ever, ever, ever. People that read energy are going to be able to look at a card and tell you the energy of the moment without actually needing it to be turned upside down. And so I know we're taught to. A lot of people as readers are taught to let cards get turned over, and that will denote the negative side of it or the not so good side of it. But when I deliver them, I will deliver both the good and the bad. And usually you'll understand very, very clearly which stage you're in already by the time it rolls in. And so the downside of this is that, we can become hysterical. We can, kind of lose ourselves in the moment. We can at times have too much. We can at times, just get a little bit too crazy to the extent where you don't know, am I laughing or am I crying? It's like, technically you can go there with the 3 of cups, but when it shows up and you're just looking for like a momentary message, this is spirit asking you very, very deliberately to please enjoy yourself. Please connect with people. Please have a good time. We could say if you're, honestly, here's a really good example of it. Tonight is a night where a lot of people are doing like Halloween parties, and you literally have the party card. And so it doesn't matter if you're social or not. Spirit's literally telling you to have a good time, hang out, party if you can, enjoy the moment. And so I hope it helps. I hope it makes sense. And thank you for being here. But yeah. Boom. Next up, hello, Braden Missal. Hi, Matthew. I've got a question about reading for yourself. What can I expect to occur? What will it do for me or to me on a psychic level? Um, that's a very good question. Reading for myself, I think, has helped me understand the intricacies of the way in which spirit speaks to me about the nature of my life or what I'm going through. I think that it helps us foster and increase the amount of internal dialogue and to begin to understand the many different frequencies through which our guides and aspects of ourselves will speak to us and through us. It will also uncover, I think, certain tendencies or biases that we have about, our own ideas of what is true and what isn't true. And I think when you really connect with spirit and allow them to just give you messages, pertaining to certain questions or things that you're working on for yourself, what I've noticed is, for me, I might not like the answers. I will expect very different things. And I think one of the things that it's taught me over the years was that not only was spirit doing for me something that I couldn't do for myself, but it helped me refine the manner in which I consciously connect to those that will be assisting in these readings or the spiritual work that we do. And so I guess, it's very helpful in self-discovery or self-exploration. I think that you will be able to also enhance your own abilities, whether it be precognitive stuff or empathic things, by asking questions of spirit as often as you can. I use the cards and I'll just ask about things throughout my day at times, or I will attempt to ask guides, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? What does the energy look like if I do this or that? And sometimes I'll do it over very trivial things, like we talk about in the tarot class, like, sometimes it's just what you're having for dinner and you're asking yes or no, and you're just kind of training yourself to create somewhat of a relationship, with, the cards through reading for yourself. I think that's one of the best ways that it shows up. But, there's also other forms of divination, muscle testing, oracle cards, pendulums, runes, I guess, if you want to go there. And I think those will have their own kind of individuality in terms of how they interact with you. But I know that, for me, it's very, very different in from the perspective of oftentimes I'll be in readings and I'll pull cards for people and you'll just kind of open yourself up and you'll just kind of speak a message or you'll say a certain thing, or, a piece of information will kind of flow out of you. What I've noticed is when I'm engaging in that for myself, it's very different. And it's not that something wants to show up and speak and tell us the answer to the questions. It's something that happens internally. And I think when you stay seated within that internal realm of spiritual discernment, rather than act as a tool to kind of dispense or allow those things to come through, it's a lot more difficult, I think, when you're doing it for yourself, because um yeah, for a number of reasons. Anyway, I think I just horribly over answered your question, Braden. I probably did, like, horribly over answered it. I realize I just kind of ranted off on that, but I think it teaches us about ourselves, about, what we're capable of. It gives us this method and a moment of interaction with spirit that can continually reinforce certain pathways or channels or wavelengths of dialogue, or anyway, a number of things. Oh, there you go. I see you. He says, I read runes. Totally. My grandma had runes. I've never worked with them. Never ever worked with them. She just had them. I don't know if she used them very much at that stage of her life. I think my mom had some runes for a while at a stage when we were younger that she was working with for a quick minute. A lot of people in my family kind of dabbled in those things. I think we have there's people that have also worked and operated their entire life in a spiritual capacity on my mom's side primarily. But I noticed that a lot of people in my family kind of had a brief interaction with such things. But for me, I was just the one where it stuck. And it was definitely through the realm of tarot. For some reason, that's just the one that reached me. Anyway, we'll pull a card for you before we move on. And anybody else, put your questions in the chat. If you want a reading and you're still hanging out with us, say it again. I'm definitely okay with you repeating your request because it just makes it easier for me to find people in the chat. So if you already asked for a reading and you're still here, it's okay to ask again, for real. Seriously, it's okay. Anyway, for Braden, 3, 2, 1, boom. Whoa, okay, you got a 5 of Swords, which is not altogether bad, Braden, but it is kind of severe. It's severe from the perspective of one of the, we could say, general facets of someone's world when a 5 of Swords is out tends to be an unbalanced social environment. There's going to be times where you're constantly wondering about other people, what's going on. You're going to be looking over your shoulder. There's times when you're going to be overtly focused upon the past and wondering about things that were, or what other people think of you, or the opinions, or we could call it even the jagged edge of shared communication, which is a big part of 5 of Swords. Because look at it, that's you. And maybe you're laughing, maybe you're sneering. You got to ask yourself, what am I doing with that dagger? Because seriously, why are what are you doing with all those swords? What's going on behind your back? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it them? Is it you? Is it me? These are questions we will ask with the 5 of Swords. And sometimes it is us, very clearly. With the 5 of Swords, especially, and I see you saying you had some work drama. With 5 of Swords, you might be engaging in a very pointed manner. You are not without weapons. You are not without teeth, but also at the same time, you might be overly concerned with what other people are kind of, involved with, or what they're talking about, or you'll be more worried about, like, well, what are they doing back there in some form or another. And like I said, it's not really a crisis or anything. I mean, it can seem like it. I'm going to be real. The 5s can be very difficult, but they only last as long as we remain focused upon them. And so if you're willing to do things where you just abruptly start, paying, like, completely ignoring certain things in your life and looking forward, you will, it'll just release itself really, really quickly. And so anyway, I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Braden. Appreciate your questions. Let's go all the way down to, oh, cool, one of our members. What's up, Greg Herrera? Good to see you. Good to see you around these parts. You still have a free session, Greg. Hopefully, maybe you had emailed me back, maybe not, but you want a free session a while back, so feel free to let me know when you want to do that. But we'll pull a card for Greg Herrera. Let me just randomize these cards here. We're going to really mix them up. For those of you assisting Greg Herrera on the Earth plane, we're just looking for any news, any guidance, anything that needs to be seen or heard, or just made aware through the lens of tarot, anything that you guys need him to know. In 3, 2, 1, boom. Greg Herrera, congratulations. This is, I realize I say this about most of these cards, but you have a 4 of Cups. It's really not a bad place to be, Greg. Seriously, it's really, really not. But you might have noticed for the last little while, maybe not that much has been going on. Maybe you've been spending a lot of time asking deep questions of the universe, pondering, questioning, going through a little bit. I'll be real. Sometimes it's an existential crisis where we spend a lot of time just reevaluating where we're going and what we're doing. And like I said, asking really big questions of your internal world. And, this is kind of the cheesy symbolism that goes along with it, or rather the story that comes with it is, a 4 of Cups will be in your life and you'll be spending all day going, how am I going to fill those cups? How am I going to fill these cups in front of me? I got these 3 cups in my life. Where is it going to come from? What am I going to fill them with? Who am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? The cups are the realm of self-identity, the realm of emotion, the realm of relationships, the things that we share with the world. And so when the 4 of Cups is out, maybe you're trying to fill those 3 cups. Maybe you're wondering, where's my 4th cup? You're noticing other people in the world. They've already achieved certain things, or they might have received something that you yourself were hoping to receive or be a part of. And a Four of Cups will come in your life and you'll be asking existential questions about it. And we're not saying it's as if you're doing it every day. It doesn't necessarily overtake you, but at times maybe you'll feel like you're not as doing as much as you could. Maybe you'll feel like, you will spend a lot of time just kind of wondering about things. But the whole story behind Four of Cups is that's what you're supposed to do. When you're in a Four of Cups, you're meant to be asking deep existential questions. You're meant to be pondering, the gaps or the deficits in your emotional world. And yes, this is much more emotional than it is financial. But some people will spin a Four of Cups through, well, you're trying to make money at times, or you're trying to accumulate something, which you could kind of use it for that, but it's more about experience and meaning and identity. And so, you're going to be asking big questions. And I guess, the most awkward part about it, Greg, and I'm not trying to tell you this has already happened, but for a lot of people, the question that you've been asking over and over and over again, Spirit's been telling you the answer over and over and over again, but you'll be looking in a different place. You could be looking in the wrong direction. It's like they're over here trying to hand you something literally, and you're like, one of these days, maybe this will happen. And they're trying to tell you it's right there. It's right there. And so, now what the big question is when we say it's right there, it could be many things in your life. And that's where it becomes very individual to you. But it's a good thing to have. So don't beat yourself up if you feel like you haven't been doing too much, because with Four of Cups, you're not really supposed to be doing too much. You're really not. And so, anyway, or maybe you've been doing a lot. Maybe it's the absolute opposite. But thank you, Greg Herrera. I appreciate you. Who else do we have here? We're just gonna we're just gonna grab somebody. Who knows who it'll be? It's gonna be Malik79. What's up, Matthew? Please, thank you. Totally. You were in the right place at the right time, Malik79. Let us know if you're dressed up for Halloween, everybody. If you're still in the chat, let us know if you're dressed up for Halloween. And if you can, please share this video anywhere you can. Maybe someday we'll get beyond 7,000 subscribers. Maybe we will. We're nearly there. We're at 6.8 thousand. Not that it matters, because honestly, it doesn't. But you want to feel like you're getting somewhere, right? You want to have some sort of quantified number of, qualified interactions in this mortal internet realm, this digital realm. You need a number to denote, importance or experience or viability. I mean, if you're like me, you'll take it. You'll take it if you can get it. Because God knows we're not doing too many shows. We're definitely not the kind of people that get invited on everybody's cool shows and, this or that or the cool events. We're definitely not. We're definitely not on that team. I think we're on the tragically authentic, true experiencer team, which you're going to notice a lot of people, the ones that are really doing the work, are the ones that are in the background, the ones that are not on the stage, the ones that just live it and do it every single day. Because it's not so much about presenting this persona or an idea out to the world. At a certain stage, you just become it. And then you realize after you've become it, you don't really have time to present it to everyone. It's just a thing that you do. And so, anyway, I could go on and on about that one, but for Malik79, here we go. Halloween 2023. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Well, you got the big death card. A lot of people get freaked out when they see it. Malik79, promise me you won't get weird about receiving the death card, because it's actually really, really good. What kind of processes or cycles of maybe dysfunction, versions of yourself, aspects of your life, things that you've been struggling with, things that have been dragging you down, things that at times have been killing your spirit, and also, a number of other things as well. When death rolls into your timeline, Malik, you're going to be relieved of certain things that have been weighing you down, things that you've been dragging behind you for the past few years or months or weeks. Time is irrelevant, but death will come in and create a renewal of sorts in your life. And so ask yourself, what is moving through me? What am I letting go of? What am I moving on from? What am I leaving behind? What sort of inevitable endings or closures are occurring in my current realm? The best thing you can do is allow things to pass, to let them go, to let something literally expire within yourself, within your current timeline. Because the more you hold on to things and death comes in, the more you hold on to something, the more you'll just prolong certain processes. And trust me, this is not an energy that comes in to tell you of great doom. It's not an energy that comes in to say, watch out, somebody's going to die. I would say it doesn't really have much to do with physical death. It's the spiritual death, and it's the ending of cycles and the renewal of energies that will continue to come throughout your life over and over and over again. So I would say ask yourself, what have I been struggling with in the year of 2023 as we approach the latter parts of this year? A lot of times death will come in and it will take something from you. It'll cause it to expire, it'll cause it to be destroyed, it'll fall apart. And for people that use it wisely, they will see the cracks coming. They will notice those things. They will notice something is inevitably about to pass through them and move out of their life, and they'll simply allow it. They'll get out of the way and they'll authorize themselves to close doors and throw away the key and never walk through that door again. So, for people who use death wisely, it is an incredible friend. It brings renewal. It brings, also at times an ego death within your own self. But what comes out on the other side of it always begins again. And so there's no permanence within that. But I would say look at what's wrapping up in your life, Malik 79, because something within you is going to be released. Something within you is going to be renewed. And so there you go. He says, not sure other than being lazy. Maybe the end of being lazy. Maybe that's what it is. It could just be that simple. It could be that simple. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's do some more readings. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Here we got somebody. Kara Miller says, hi, Matthew. Would you please pull a card for me? I do have a particular situation in mind regarding Robin, something I've been avoiding, not feeling strong enough to face and get closure. Thank you for asking. That's a well-formulated question. The way it just, good job. Thank you. Hopefully you're still here. Let's just pull a card. For all those of you guiding Kara Miller, we're just looking for any guidance surrounding the individual known as Robin, or this situation, or just, whatever it represents for her. Whatever it represents. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment while we do a lot of shuffling here. And so this hasn't happened for a while, Kara Miller, and I just kind of cleared it, but let's see if it happens again, and I'll show you on camera. It kind of does. There's an effect that takes place with me when I'm reading cards, and then somebody will ask a question, and we'll go to shuffle them, and suddenly everything just gets really stuck together. It's really firm, and it's almost like the energy doesn't want to give, and it doesn't want to flow, and it's a very noticeable thing because, I do so much of this work that I'll notice as we're asking questions, there's a difference in how the cards will move and how they'll flow. And as we're shuffling, and I get that kind of stickiness of the cards. I think this is a thing that other readers have commented on and other people have experienced. It often indicates that there might have been a little bit too much. And I want you to take this part with a grain of salt, because every now and then maybe they're just sticky, but what I've noticed is when we get moments of sticky energy like that and we're preparing to ask a question, these can be situations in which we've already invested too much emotional questioning into a scenario or a situation. And in some cases, we'll be called to allow it to settle, or in other cases, we'll be called to be more clear in terms of what it is that we want to receive from it. Maybe what we might call our preferred outcome. Maybe we've already just asked the same question so many times in a row, or kind of overinvested ourselves in the examining of that situation internally, that spirit just kind of gets a little stuck, and it's almost like we kind of have to breathe and allow a new solution, or allow a new direction, or allow a new perspective to show up. And so I'm not saying to apply that to your situation. It's more of an observation that I've just noticed when I'm doing these. And so It's neither good nor bad, right or wrong. It's just in some cases, it's better to let something lie for just a little while longer so a new level of clarity can come in. But let's go ahead and pull a card regardless. Three, two, one, and boom. Ah, it's funny. This is kind of a confirmation of what I just said. When the energy gets kind of sticky and we sometimes we will pause and we will wait, we will be forced unknowingly into a stage of silence. So here's the thing, depending on what's going on with this individual, if I was going to call it exactly with what is presented here, let's say if you're in a situation where you've been communicating with someone, maybe you had some swords with them, which could be drama, could be arguments, it could be angular energy. A four of swords would come in and you'd be going, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? And the answer is nothing. You just pause. A four of swords is silence. There will be no communication. Whatever we were slinging around previously, we're not going to be slinging anything around. And for some people, it's hard because there'll be silence and no one will speak and no one will act. And you'll be like, I thought we were going to, what about this? Should I that? Or text messages won't get answered, emails won't come back, wires will get crossed. And then suddenly it'll just stop. But it's not because of right or wrong, bad or good. It's because this is a pause. This is literally just the energy of pause. It's not meant to tell you why. It's not meant to tell you, the details around it. It's just if we ever ask for a direction and we're like, Spirit, what am I supposed to do? I feel like I need to go over there and say this or that, or go take this action. And then a four of swords comes in. That's literally them going, just let it sit for a little while. And but see, that's where the key comes in, because you got to understand it's a temporary pause. And the nature of time is such that no one's going to be able to tell you, is it 4 hours? Is it 4 weeks? Is it 4 years? Is it 4 months? The four is actually irrelevant. It's a temporary pause. And you'll notice this happens with all the fours in the world of tarot. The fours will come in and on some level will be a little bit contained. We might be in a process of repetition. We might be in a process in which we're kind of awaiting something. Um, it's a very interesting stage in the world of tarot. But when it comes to swords and you're wondering about communication, a four of swords will come in in my opinion and experience, your best avenue is to do nothing for just a little while longer. You'll notice a wavelength will change and a channel of communication will open up at a later time. And so, honestly, if you've been avoiding this, seriously, it's probably for a good reason. And I would not beat yourself up over it. Give it a little bit of time and just see, don't worry. Don't worry about it. I hope that helps. Seriously. I hope it helps. I hope it helps. Thank you. And so, anybody else, please feel free. If we have any members that are here that would like a reading, please let me know. I'll scan through for any questions. What's up, Patricia Heaslip? She says, you could interview Ivan. We have. Maybe he'll come back. We definitely have had Ivan on here before. I think a few times, a couple times. I don't know. My memory is really bad, but he's definitely been here. But yeah, we absolutely love Ivan. We are still regular inhabitants of his not so regular lives. Lately, I know he kind of pulled it back a little bit, which makes sense when you're getting a lot of targeting. It definitely makes sense. And anyway, we're just going to grab somebody down here from the bottom of the chat. Let's just grab this. Oh, here we go. Somebody's about to be laid off. What's going on? The Arpians. I'm about to be laid off. I can look for another day job or step out in faith in pursuing my dream. It's scary because I have kids. I'd appreciate a card and your insights. Yeah, I mean it sincerely. I pray that this, I really do. I pray this energy finds you well and that it adds on some level maybe clarity into your current world, or just Yeah. See, and it's interesting because now when I do this, the cards go together very simply and easily. At times, that energy gets sticky, and it would make sense with a Four of Swords for the last person we were pulling a card for. And so, for the Arpians about to get laid off, step out in faith. Do we do it? Do we jump? Do we go for it? Do we head back into whatever it was you were doing before? Go back to your day job. Who knows? Please, guys, give us an answer just in the interest of clarity, expansion, empowerment, abundance, and just walking the true soul's path. What do we need to know? Boom. Whoa, okay. This is our first fire character today, which is a very cool thing. I'm going to start out by just giving you a direct answer. Arpians, it is time for you to follow your true will. It is time for you to embrace your fire. It is time for you to literally put your hand out to the world and demand what it is that you're worth. If you do it in the right way, if you take action, direct action, and truly invest yourself in a certain thing, it's not like it's going to provide for every single aspect of your life, but you're going to be offering yourself in service on a greater level to the collective. And on another level, you're going to be learning to demand what it is that you're worth. And so, if you're going through the question of, do I get another day job? Um, the King of Wands is not concerned with jobs. They're not concerned with what he does for other people. He's concerned with doing what he wants and his desires and his willfulness. And like I said, when you do it right, people will follow you. You will learn to demand what you're worth. I would say, honestly, give yourself a little bit of time. Begin to walk a path into a new timeline. Put some energy, some desire, some passion out there on the line, and like I said, put your hand out, wait for spirit to catch you, wait for spirit to engage with you on some level, whatever it is you're wanting to step into. Um, I'm going to be real. Whether the answer is yes or no, the King of Wands will do it because he wants to, because he's burning for it, because he must also he's what we call masculinated fire. So he's going to be destroying something while he creates something else. And on some level, it would kind of make sense if you're getting laid off. It would be the destruction of a previous timeline of your other job. And, he would then be stepping forward and doing whatever he wants with that energy. And the wands are literally your job. They're your sexuality. They're your passion. They're your fire energy. They're your determination. They're what you do with your hands. And so when you have a King of Wands in your life, literally your mission is to do whatever the hell you want to do and demand your worth from this world. And so, sure, you might find yourself going back to a day job after a time of experimentation. You might find yourself, moving in and out of that at certain stages of the human journey. In other cases, you will find yourself stepping away from something and you will never have to return. And I honestly pray, I mean this very sincerely, whatever you're trying to do next, I pray that you'll have a similar outcome that I had, which was where I took a leap of faith and just started doing a thing. And it was like the world responded. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know why it happened. Maybe it was a contract, an agreement, but I believe that for each of us in this world, there's a path or some form of an opportunity that will show itself at certain stages of the journey where you will be called to act on faith and faith alone and to take a leap in this life. And the King of Wands is the one who he'll definitely go for it. If he's invested in and passionate about something, um, he'll definitely go for it. And so I'd say give it some time before you get another day job. And in the meantime, choose to devote yourself completely to whatever your true heart's desire is. And I pray that finds you well. Thank you, Arpians. Boom. Next up, Red Orion Art says, I feel bad for asking multiple times, but I would still really appreciate a reading. No worries, and it's okay to ask multiple times. We kind of sort of need people to, so I'll be able to see you, but let's pull a quick card for Red Orion Art. And Arpians, I pray that information or that reading finds you well. This is for Red Orion Art. Thanks for hanging out, Andromedan. Reddit Ryan Art, here's a card for you. Just in the interest of expansion, growth, healing, and clarity, anything that needs to be known. Boom. Whoa, hello, you have the star. This is usually a pretty good thing. Um, the star will show up in your life and it will denote inevitability. It will denote paths of fate. It will denote things that were meant to happen. They were meant to take place. Oftentimes, it's funny because I just mentioned we have a contract for certain things in this life. The star will denote events like that. You'll make agreements to experience or sometimes to endure certain things in this life, and the star will come in to inform you that this is the path of fate for you, and it could involve many things, but usually it has to do with you coming to understand within yourself that you are a bridge between the spirit world and the physical world, which is one of the inherent traits of the star. And you can see it. They've got one foot on the land, one foot in the water. Their head is literally within the stars. And so you are bridging a number of realms, a number of timelines, a number of dimensions. And I mean it sincerely. And so it kind of depends on what you want to do with it or what's happening in your life. There's also an individuality that comes in with the star, but it is the path of inevitability, the path of fate. And if you're wondering, what am I meant to be doing when the star comes in? Well, you must understand that whatever's happening in your life right now is happening for you, not to you. But at times it can come in very difficult ways. The star is not necessarily meant to be a blissful energy. It's meant to be one that we knew was coming. It was inevitable. It was going to happen. And it will be for the greater lessons, for the greater understandings, for the things that, like I said, we agree for them to take place. And so please do work with your crown chakra. The star card is very applicable or vibrational within the crown. And so anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you, Red Orion. Thanks for being a part of this strange broadcast. Let's just scroll through and find somebody else here. Boom, goldfishy pick frames. Hello. Hey, Matthew, I have a question. Just like the fours are some type of pause or such, what are the eights? Well, that's a good question. I've noticed the eights are a little bit different. When it comes to the Eight of Pentacles, you're going to be creating something. There's going to be something of value that person is working with. There's going to be a repetition that comes in. There's going to be a refinement of such. It's not that there's so much a standard theme with the eights, because then you'll look at the Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords can be rumination. It can be asking the same question too much. It can be also repetition in its own form. You can look at, let me find another one within my mind's eye. You can look at the Eight of Wands as well, which is rapid change in a number of, places all at the same time. And I would say it's less repetitive, but it's definitely a decision point marker in which you will start a kind of a path of movement that will change everything. And then let me think, what's the other one? The Eight of Cups, which also has kind of a very different meaning. So there isn't so much a theme I've noticed with the eights other than one of repetition, but they all have kind of their own idiosyncrasies. You'll notice at certain stages, a lot of the experiences will come in the kind of the numerical cycle of tarot that are very thematic, but in other stages they won't. Like the sevens are all very unique in their own way. I'm trying to think of another few. Anyway, just to wrap up on the eights, with the Eight of Cups, it's going to be about loss and yearning and things that we see as being missing and kind of, looking at the past and whatnot. And so, a little bit different. Each one of the eights is a little different. But anyway, I might be speaking too rapidly and indirectly about weird tarot theory. So some of you guys might lose me in that part. But let's pull a quick card for goldfishy pick frames. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Greetings. You have received the Nine of Cups, which, let's be real, this is the energy of excess in some form. It could be tragic excess. It could be a beautiful excess. It's certainly a lot of something going on in one's life. Every now and then we've just had a little bit of too much of certain somethings, but for a lot of people, it will exist within the emotional body. And it'll come in at times in which, you can have everything that you've asked for, but it's usually a thing where you're going to have to get rid of a number of things before those whatever it is that you asked for came in. When the 9 of cups is out, you must purge something within you, and you can kind of look at the body language and the symbolism behind it. There is an excess, there's an energy of excess that is apparent within the image itself, and so it can be really good. Honestly, I'm going to be real with you guys. The majority of us usually will want the energy of the 9 of cups, or we could say the 9 of pentacles as well. You don't want the energy of 9 of swords. Let me be real. You definitely don't. um but 9 of pentacles and 9 of cups, most people want it because you'll have too much of something. It can be too much of a good thing. It can be overloaded in certain ways. And look at this guy. I mean, even if you knew nothing about him, he looks pretty self-satisfied, right? Because he usually is. But we'll come to the stage of nines, and something will be about to shift, or something will be about to break, or something will be about to pop, or we'll need to create a layer of change, and the 9 of cups will come in. And the best thing you can do is give things away to purge the excess within your life, to make room for something new. Because this is, in old school tarot, some people call it wish fulfillment, where we get everything we've been asking for and then some. Problem is, you won't always be able to do anything with it. That's kind of the downside of all of the nines. It's like they'll come to a certain point, but then they just get stuck. And with 9 of cups, it's like you'll get all of this one thing that you've been asking for, and you'll realize, I've got so much of it, I don't even know what to do with it. The 9 of pentacles will come in, and you'll get really comfortable, and things will look really good, and they'll feel really good, and you'll be doing really well with 9 of pentacles. And then you'll realize, like, oh shit, am I trapped in this? I might be trapped in this. I mean, it looks really good, but they all kind of come with a weird risk. And I'll just give you another example before we move on, because it's right here. And then you come to a 9 of swords, and 9 of swords is very different, right? You guys check it out. Very, very different from 9 of cups. But the similarity would be, when it comes to the 9 of swords, is that it's one step away from being too much. And it does. It looks very overwhelmed. There's a lot going on. We're losing sleep. It's nearly there. It's nearly at a breaking point, but it's not quite there yet. And so 9 of swords is the more severe one, to be honest with you. Anyway, maybe we're doing too much tarot theory here tonight. I apologize for those of y'all that are like, what are we doing? We're doing Halloween readings. And so let's find somebody else before we go off on a major tangent here. Patricia Heaslip says, I would accept a card message regardless of question posted. Sometimes the cue is irrelevant. The vibe is what it is. Totally. Well, we'll just ask, what is the vibe? And I apologize, I haven't seen your other questions. But let's just pull a card for Patricia Heaslip. For those of you guys that want to do this with us all over again next week, we're going to be meeting up. Those of you that are members of this channel, we're going to be meeting up November 11th on Saturday. I'll announce the time soon. I don't know what time yet. I got to look at everything, but we're going to be meeting up on November 11th, doing some more readings, answering some more questions. Maybe we'll go a little bit deeper, because there's a lot less members, so we'll go a little deeper. But I think Honora will be with us as well. And anyway, here we go. Patricia Heaslip. 3, 2, 1. What's the vibe? Boom. Whoa, there's almost 2 of them that came out. Wow. Okay, so you're in the Queen of Pentacles stage. Even if it's just for today, kind of like how we were just saying with the 9s, most people want to be this. This is a good place to be. Okay, so for individuality or messages of the moment with the Queen of Pentacles, we must ask ourselves, what am I creating? What am I producing? What am I growing? What am I bringing to the world? The Queen of Pentacles is meant to be creating something. It's how she receives, and she is one of the most abundant energies. So there's certain things that will just come to Queen of Pentacles when we're in the proper vibratory state. You can attract things into your life, people, places, things, events, abundance, sometimes money, if that's what it is as well. You'll be able to handle that. She's not a being that is overly concerned with such things, because she is, at least in the, the higher vibrational stages, she's mastered the art of attracting, beauty and wealth and, fertility and growth into her life. And so maybe you're coming to a stage where you're going to be further embodying that version of yourself. Or maybe you could also be noticing certain layers of stagnancy within your current self as well. And so, which is the downfall of the major characters in the hierarchy of pentacles. They do get stagnated at times. If you're having a hard time, creating or, receiving what you believe, the world is meant to bring you, if you feel stagnated or stuck in routines or just trapped in certain predictable paths of behavior, that is one of the problems of Queen of Pentacles. She will need to learn to break routines and to do things very, very differently. A lot of you guys have heard me say this by now, but Queen of Pentacles will rearrange the room that she spends the most time in, sometimes the room in which you sleep. She will force herself to wake up looking at a new side or a new wall or a new window or a different direction. She'll force herself to wake up looking at things from a different perspective. And if you're willing to do that, understand that you might hate it. You might really not like what comes out of it. But what it'll do is force you to see your world from a different perspective. And just in the simple doing something like that, in upsetting the physicality of our environment and the predictable loops of behavior that we're in, with the Queen of Pentacles, that's how she restarts herself. It's like something will need to be completely rearranged, and we could even say feng shuied, if that's a word that you subscribe to, and something will flow much, much easier. And so, it could be anything from abundance to just, physical health. Those are definitely places that she's involved in. But it could also be other things as well. As we know, the pentacles are usually the things that we need, that we desire, that we're trying to create and receive in this world. And so, anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you for hanging out, by the way. And thank you, Rocks. Card pulled for Selena. Totally. Let's do a card for Selena. Absolutely. And I've said this before on other lives, but one of the cool things about doing multidimensional tarot is that these cards will apply to many different things and also many different people all at the same time. And some of us will be like, how is that possible? We as a multidimensional collective can all receive the same message and apply it into different areas of your life. Yes, we will aim it at certain people and we'll kind of, intend for it to go directly to certain people, but other people are going to be hearing the meanings of some of these cards or receiving these messages, and some of you guys are going to feel like it's going directly to you. And the reality of it is it is. And so somebody tell me in the chat, I realize I asked it earlier, what's the weirdest Halloween costume you ever dressed up as a kid? Seriously, what's the weirdest one? I genuinely want to know. What was your weirdest Halloween costume as a kid? I wish I had a weird one, but I never dressed up as anything cool. Seriously, I never really dressed up at all, so I have no cool examples of that. But anyway, what's the weirdest thing you ever dressed up as? And Selena, let us know if you have a question. Do you have a specific question? Let me know. While we wait to see what's the weirdest thing you've dressed up as, let us know if you have a question. I realize there's about a 10-second delay between when you hear me say it and and when it actually reaches you. I don't know if it's 10 seconds. It might just be like 4 or 5, but there's always a delay. Oh, shit. What? Braden was Cardboard Pac-Man. Okay. Damn. All right. Okay, Selena says, I didn't get to do anything weird, but I was a Ghostbuster. Totally. I remember when the Ghostbusters movies came out. Am I dating myself? Maybe. That was a hell of an era. But Ghostbusters would have been a very, very cool. That would have been a very, very cool one, especially if you were around back in the 80s. And okay, cool. Any message is fine. No worries. A phoenix says a tree. Nice. Okay. All right. That's very cool. Why not? Why not? Oh my God, you had the proton pack, and you had an unlicensed particle accelerator on your back. What the? Oh my. Okay, yeah, totally. We're in the same generation. That was a really good era, man. You guys like the 80s when the Ghostbusters movie came out, Ghostbusters movies came out. I feel like I'm probably way off on the time range. I think it was around the time that Beetlejuice also came out within that same era. Those were key moments of kind of like Halloween, or kind of like holiday kind of, you know, era movies. It was just a really good stage. And anyway, I'm getting pulled off of what I'm saying as I'm reading your comments, and we're gonna pull a card for Selena. Boom, there you are. I was trying to find you on there, or your question, but anyway, I also remember going to see the Goonies in the movie theater. That was kind of a big deal as well. Anyway, here we go. For those of you assisting Selena, we're just looking for anything that needs to be known, anything that needs to be acknowledged, just any bits of good news, or just general guidance from all those of you assisting on her current path. 3, 2, 1, boom. Well, we saw this earlier, but let me just be real. It's a damn good message to receive, Selena. And maybe things lately have not felt like this. This is the 10 of Cups. When it shows up in your path, you're at the end of an era. This is always the cheesy statement. You're at the end of an era, but every now and then it's just the end of the week. Whatever it is, you will be in a chapter of closure of some sort. And sometimes it's a whole 10 years of your life. Every now and then it's just the last 10 minutes. But when it shows up, you are being asked to choose what it is that you're going to be carrying with you from the last little while that you've been experiencing, in this case, relationship, in this case, self identity, in this case, what you share with the world. And yeah, you can see the whole family is a part of whatever it is. And so when the 10 of Cups is out, honestly, it's a very happy ending. It's really, really hard to take a 10 of Cups. And even let's say if we were doing reverse tarot, and even if it was in its reversed form, which is the not so good version of it, honestly, even then, it's still one that I think more people would want to have than not, because there are a number of things that you've been dealing with over the past little while that will be resolved, and people will do better. And every now and then people just need to receive this in terms of everything is going to be okay, and the chapters of closure, if any. And maybe you're not in a chapter of closure, maybe there's one approaching you, maybe you already went through one, maybe you're like, yeah dude, that already happened a couple months ago, or whatever it is. And one thing we can say is it usually involves a lot more than just you, but whatever the current, predicament is, or the cycle that's coming to pass, you got the best version of it that you can get, which sometimes sounds horrible. We're like, what do you mean? I got the best version of it that I could get? You don't know what happened. There, things have been hard, or this has been going on, or that has been going on. And, maybe this is what I choose to believe, but the 10 of Cups is usually the best version of it that we can hope for. And so when you think about, the possibilities of what else could have happened, as certain things come to closure, it's literally telling you this was the best outcome for you at this stage. And you're being offered a chance to go into a new era where you're going to let certain things go forever. You're going to let certain things come to pass in your life. You're going to choose what you're carrying on with you into the next stage. And for me, it's a good thing to have. But for other people, it could be very minor. It could just be, yeah, anyway, we'll do it all over again next week type of a thing. And so um, it is a positive and loving message, and it is a positive ending to a cycle of some form in your life. And so anyway, I hope it helps. I hope it's a good thing. I believe it is. I believe it is. But All is One was a Ghostbuster too, and Wonder Woman, nice, out of the cheap cardboard boxes with plastic mask and painful elastic, right? Totally. Nice. Hell yeah. I think I wanted to be a Ghostbuster. I think one of the only real kind of Halloween costumes I can remember, and it's almost embarrassing how little I've participated in Halloween in this life, but I've always enjoyed it, which is weird because I'm like searching through my memory banks and I'm trying to find like, did I ever dress up as anything cool? Honestly, no. But one year I did try to do a Indiana Jones disguise with like a whip and the hat and the whole thing. And I think I kind of pulled that off. I did that one time and that was as good as it got. That's as good as it got. Everything else was just randomness after that. Who knows why? Who knows why? It was just never a force in my life. But anyway, let's grab a couple other people. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate you all. I'm going to scroll upward and find somebody else to do a reading for, but you can also just throw your name once again in down at the bottom of the chat. If you have not clicked the like button already, please do so. Uh-oh, Shanjack says, weird, YouTube just ate my entire message and only left the XD. I guess my costume was too weird. It probably was. Probably, maybe not, or maybe maybe it's the AI archons. I think I thought you asked for a card earlier, and since we fell upon your name here, we're just gonna pull a card for you, just to keep the energy flowing, just to keep everything kind of rolling along. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with us on this strange Halloween evening. I think there's always a bunch of people doing stuff on kind of Halloween in terms of social media live streams and other things. So thank you to those of you guys that ended up at the multi-dimensional trailer park. It means a lot. The strange little group of people that show up here every time. And anyway, for Shanjack out there in whatever part of the world is, I'm probably horribly mispronouncing your screen name, but here we go. Anything that needs to be known or seen or heard or made aware of in this life, in this world. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and boom. It's one of the fours. We were talking about the fours earlier, and we were talking about how they can be repetitious, or we might not proceed in certain areas, or every now and then we're building something, or we're practicing something, or maybe we're courting something, or we're preparing for it behind closed doors. Or every now and then, Shan Jack, you'll also look at this card and it's going to represent something to you and you alone that's going to be outside of what it is I'm saying. But and so you got to really look at that and ask yourself, what does this represent to me? When the Four of Wands is out, you're being prepared for a next stage. You're going to be honing certain skills. You're going to be learning to do a new dance and courting and kind of connecting with people in different manners than you've done in the past. And it might not always go too far. It might not go beyond a certain point, but the Four of Wands is setting you up for something to come in the future in terms of building reliability and also at times predictability, learning how to navigate oneself and, kind of refine the manner in which we do this social dance with other people, the way that we connect, the way that we unite. It's helping you build greater strengths within those areas. It's helping you learn to bring things to fruition that for you up until this point in life have only been behind closed doors, or they weren't seen or acknowledged. And maybe because it wasn't ready, maybe because it wasn't time. But the Four of Wands will bring that energy back in your life and teach you how to do that dance in a whole new way. And so you might be welcoming a much more cohesive and joy-filled stage of intimacy, companionship, or every now and then just transactional type of agreements that you'll have with people, where you'll be like, you're going to do this for me and I'm going to do that for you, and you're going to do this dance with another person, and it's usually turns out very well, and it's meant to prepare you for something in the future. And so I think I'm discerning and interpreting your Four of Wands in a very strange way. I pray that it has some relevance to you in this life. Just know that whatever's going on right now, I think, is definitely preparing you for another stage of something to come in the future. And remember, the wands learned by doing. So you are going to have to take certain chances on how to break out of your box or that little square that you've placed yourself in certain areas of your life. It's like you got to become willing to step out of it in a little bit of a different manner, but you're being prepared for that. And anyway, I think I'm looping at you now. I'll just kind of, after a few moments, I realize I'll kind of keep restating the same meanings over and over and over again. But I pray that it finds you well. I pray that it makes sense. And totally. Aurora Diamond Heart says, my favorite costume I used to wear was my gypsy costume. I'm going to be real. I can see you in the gypsy costume. I could definitely see that working for you. Definitely. I thought you would have said the T-Rex costume for some reason. Maybe because I know you have the T-Rex costume for some reason. Maybe that. Anyway. Okay. Thanks, Red Orion. I come from Lithuania. We don't even do Halloween there, but I've been having fun with it in Canada. Nice. Nice. Thank you for coming all the way from Lithuania. I'm serious. I mean that very sincerely. Even if you're in Canada now, same a difference. Leyland says, may I ask for a reading for my mother? Yes. Yes, you can. We'll just pull a quick card for Leyland's mom. Who knows what'll come out? We don't know what it'll be. We're just going to allow whatever spirit has in store, just asking for any guidance, any news, any symbols, any images, just anything in particular that is needed for Leyland's mom. In some cases, I would ask for your mom's first name, but it's okay. We'll just do it based on with what we have here. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Whoa, okay. Tell your mom she has received one of the most universally positive energies in the world of tarot. I'm serious. I'm absolutely 100% serious. When the sun comes into your life, there is a new era of growth. There is a new era of improvement. There is even a little bit of new life and just new vitality and new light entering into your life. And it can be through a number of lenses, it can be through a number of areas, but it's one of the best cards you can get. I mean, even at its, well, let's be real, at its worst it can be very difficult and it'll burn you up and it can be very stifling. And let's be real, the sun will give you life or it'll take it. But usually when it shows up in moments like this, you need to be asking yourself, what seeds have I been planting? What seeds have I been planting? Meaning, what is it that I've been putting into this timeline, into the non-physical realm, the intentions, the desires, the things that I'm still trying to manifest or create in this life? You got to ask yourself when you get the sun, what seeds have I been planting? Because there's going to inevitably be a few things that you were trying to make happen or trying to receive or trying to just have in your life over the last couple years or so. And, you'll wonder like, well, is it ever going to happen? Is it still coming? What about those plans or those desires? We were almost there, or, I tried, or, there's a lot of, shoulds and coulds and woulds, and the sun will come in to tell you that the seeds that you planted in the recent past are starting to rise. They are starting to grow. There is a new era of growth, of vitality, if you want to call it healing. If you want to call it, just new things are coming into your life. But you have to be very careful with it, which is where the downside of it comes in. You got to be very careful with it because the sun will come in and you can completely burn yourself out in certain areas of your life. You can wear yourself out. You can overdo it. You can try too hard. You can burn something up. Like I said, the sun will give you life or it'll take it. So you have to be very nurturing with certain things in your life. You got to be nurturing with yourself. You may have to return to nurturing other people at the same time. But it's a very, very positive outcome. I would say just in generality, as a one card reading, it's a very, very good thing to get. And so anyway, I hope that finds your mom well. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And yeah, let's scroll all the way down there. We're gonna do a couple more. We're gonna try to cap it at a reasonable time, you guys, of 2 hours. because I just hate to say it, but the reality is, and a lot of you guys already know this, the longer the live stream goes, the less YouTube will recommend it to people. And I've just noticed based upon our stats and like over the time, that we've been doing this channel, and nearly all of our all of our lives like stretch into, 3 hours and plus. But for those that are trying to get their videos recommended so you can reach a larger audience, you'll notice that the shorter the better. And so I've noticed that in the past, in the old days, that if we can cut it around 2 hours, usually that's a good thing. But he'll probably just blow past and I won't even know it. Aurora Diamond Heart says, yes, that would be my weirdest costume. And don't forget, I got 2 T-Rex costumes. Dude, I wish I could. Maybe I would. You should do a live stream where you do readings in the T-Rex costume. Wear it to one of your lives and do T-Rex readings. I wish I could. If I had it here, I would have worn it. If I had one, I definitely would have. So I pray that you'll do a tarot live in the T-Rex costume. I think that would be awesome. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm definitely starting to drool on myself now, you guys. It's just a casualty of what happens in here. Anyway, we have Catherine Q in the house. Yes, we will choose a card for you. And once again, I'll let everyone else know there's a few people still hanging out here with us. You can join us next Saturday, November 11th. We're going to be doing some readings for people, for members. So if you want to join our channel, it doesn't matter. I think one of them is like $6. The other one's $2. I don't know what the price is. Most of it goes to YouTube, to be totally real. But if you are a member of this channel, we're going to be doing kind of, just a little members only thing, November 11th. In the meantime, for Catherine Q, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Well. You have a 2 of Wands, and I'm going to make a quick observation. We have not received that many Wands cards tonight. We've been I think we've been in the realm of Cups actually a lot, which is the realm of emotion. It is the element of water. And for you, you have the 2 of Wands, Catherine Q. So it's time for you to redefine how you understand power and control, how you experience your power and your ability to be in control, to remain in control. We could even say to assume full control over your timeline and your life and your direction and honestly everything about yourself, because the 2 of Wands is the literal symbol of control, power, and dominion. But not all of us have a cool relationship with power, control, and dominion. Some of us are very uncomfortable with it. Some of us are obsessed with it. Most of us are somewhere in the spectrum of in between those two states. And when the 2 of Wands comes in, that spirit literally telling you, like, look, we've given you control over some area of your life, and technicality, maybe even all of it. But at the very least, in terms of your next destination, or whatever it is that you've been, staring at or investing your energy and your desires into, the 2 of Wands comes in and that spirit telling you straight up, look, hey, you're in charge right now. You're in control, which is beautiful if you know what you want. It's beautiful if you know the route through which you will get it. It's beautiful if you're willing to take control and really initiate processes in your life. And by initiate processes, what I mean is it's like you if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. If you want something to happen, you must self-initiate whatever that is. And so depending on what's going on for you, if you're willing to take full control in your life right now, spirit will favor that greatly. But the downside is nobody will do it for you. And so you got to look at the deficits in your world and the things that you're still waiting for, because they're telling you straight up, you have authorization to just do it now, to just do it. And so to me, it's really cool to have, but it's about you becoming comfortable with your ability to remain in full control, assuming full control. Anyway, I hope that helps, Catherine Q. And thank you for being here, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Red Orion Art says, "Wait, Matthew, what's your opinion on dinosaurs? Serious question." My opinion on dinosaurs is that they're very cool. I think that, I don't know. I went through a big dinosaur phase as a kid. I think they were awesome. Like all, most boys will go through a dinosaur phase. I still like them. They're cool. I know that's not what you were asking, but actually do believe that there are a number of dinosaur races that still do walk the earth in certain areas of the earth. I think that we do have a number of portals that will exist that will open at sometimes random times, at sometimes timed intervals when they're meant to. And I believe that there's a number of beings that will walk through those portals and end up walking this planet for a period of time. Sometimes they'll stay, sometimes they won't, sometimes they'll die, sometimes they'll go back into a portal. But I think that dinosaurs are still with us on a number of levels. I think that, based on how the world is at large, it's not really an energy that's going to exist en masse here, but they're definitely out there. I have encountered literal dinosaur beings at times. I know that for a lot of people, reptilians will come in the form of these kind of ancient dinosaur looking beings, and I have definitely perceived those. Um, Maybe I shouldn't even talk about this. I am not a big dragon person. A lot of you guys know this. I'm not a big dragon person, but I was, kind of connecting in my own way today, actually, preparing to do a session for a client this morning. And I was doing my little Qigong routine. And sometimes I've noticed when I will really go for it and like really spend a lot of time, like continuing to move and do breathing and just continue, moving energy through the body. There are certain mornings, I think, where that energy really, really flows. And there's also mornings where it's just a thing that you're doing, just a routine. And today was one of those days when there was a lot of energy moving. There was a lot of activity. And usually I can tell because it's like you'll get a lot more colors in your body. You'll feel a lot more energetic movement as I'm doing Qigong. And looking into my mind's eye, I perceived a white dragon, um, very snake like white dragon. And it was almost as if there was a plume of crimson like energy that was also wrapped around a certain part of this white dragon being that I perceived so clearly that I'm choosing to talk about it now. And I say that once again as a person that does not connect. I'm not routinely connecting with dragons. I'm not they're like not necessarily a big part of my overall spiritual milieu of beings. We do have a number of reptilian energies, but they're a lot less dragon like, and I've noticed they're a lot more kind of, well, more like reptiles more so than dragons. But I mean, there it was, absolutely right in my face, a very, very unique kind of snake-like white dragon form with this kind of plume of crimson energy that was wrapping around it. And it was, for some people, this sounds kind of creepy, but it was as if blood had been drawn and was kind of pluming out within a body of water. Like you could see, like as if it had been drawn and kind of flung outward, and the patterns and the flowing movement of whatever that red energy was. And for some people that'll get weird and a little bit too cringe, but it was like a blood like energy that had been cast around this being. And um who knows what it means. I'm not going to try to say there was like a message. I'm not going to try to say, it was, I'm not a channeler. I didn't, connect to it and go like, what do we did not have a dialogue, although, I absolutely would. And there's been times when we have, um, but yeah, a white dragon showed up. And so feels like a good thing, which sometimes is an oversimplified, it's an oversimplified evaluation of energies perceived within the third eye. But I will usually gauge an energy or a presence or a sentient being based upon the energetic signature that it holds. And it did not feel foreboding. It did not feel negative. It felt like a moment of observation. But it was a very cool. It was a very cool thing. It was a cool moment. Hopeful Art says, sounds very Chinese or Asian. Absolutely. It was very much like that. You definitely got it. You definitely got it. You'll probably see it within your own internal realm. Selena says, have you seen the anime Fairy Tale? I have not, but I would watch it if I could, because I used to be into anime. I can't really tell you anything that I can think of in the moment, but honestly, I'm definitely into a lot of things. I just seem to have a hard time like connecting with them and like watching stuff, and who knows why? I don't know why. It is what it is. White Swan says, I had dragons come through early 2021 before it was cool. So it's interesting to see them coming through for the collective recently. You know what? I feel you on that. That's how I was with the reptilian energies. It was like I already knew there was good ones. I already knew some of them were okay. You know what? Like when everyone out there was pissing themselves over, the Orion group and all of these negative beings, it's like I had already encountered them. I had already been shown what they were about. I had already seen this. I had already seen and felt the severity of what types of energies they represent. And it was very, very old news. And so for me, that's kind of one of the struggles that I've watched, where everyone's identified a certain type of energy or beings as inherently negative, and they're just not, and I'm sure you had your own experience with, coming in contact with dragon energy very early on. I'm a person that I think I kind of like rejected it for a while. I think that there's a version of me that I was connecting with during, like a lot of the dragon energy alignments. It sounds kind of cringe, but I think there's a lot of versions of me that hunted down and killed things like ancient dragons and other timelines. And, a lot of you guys know I had a lot of incarnations as a Templar within the Templar orders. And one of the things that I was called to do on another timeline and in another realm was a crusade to go and rid a certain part of what appeared like South America of a certain, dragon-like reptilian reptoid presence. And so I think that I just sometimes came into it as being more aligned with the energy that was ridding it at that time. And I think since then a lot of that shifted. You'll go through different stages of, alignments and like experiences. And, I went through the stages in which we were anti that, and then we went, into the pro reptilian stage. It's not that I'm in a pro reptilian stage. I just have had many, many notable experiences with energies that present as reptilian that have been actually very benevolent toward me. I have never felt abused or mistreated or brutalized by those energies. In fact, they've been more welcoming to me than a lot of others. And so a lot of you guys already know this. It's been talked about. It's on this channel many, many times. But yes, I see you, Rocks Rachel. Would love a card pulled. I definitely will. Thank you. She said, I'd love a card pulled if you're feeling a vibe in your cards. Do you feel vibes in your cards? That's a very good question. The answer is, I think, less about the cards and more of the phrases and the images and the symbology that they'll kick off internally or within the internal dialogue that comes in when I connect with them. I would like to think on some level they act as gateways or portals or keys, symbols that will unlock wavelengths of data or information. And so I guess maybe that's an awkward way of saying, yeah, there's definitely a vibe, but maybe it's not something that is physically felt and something that is noticed within the mind's eye, we could say, if that if that makes sense. I feel like I'm over articulating a lot more than usual. But yeah, let's pull a card for Rocks. What's going on? Thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up in our lives and coming back here time after time. And everyone else, thank you to those of you that have been here over the past 2 hours, hanging out with us in this strange Halloween moment in the year 2023. Boom. For Rocks, what's going on? What do we need to know? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and boom. We were talking about the 8s earlier, And then you received one of the eights. This is the Eight of Wands. And let me tell you, things can change really quickly when you get an Eight of Wands, but it's really going to be dependent on what kind of decisions you're making. And maybe we could say how determined you are to really decide upon a trajectory or something that you really want to shoot for, to really aim yourself at something in this world and to kind of pull a trigger wherein you know you're going to create a series of events that you don't come back from, or you don't come back in the same way you left. And so the Eight of Wands will show up in your life, and just know it's very opportunistic. If you're willing to really make a decision, something will happen, and in many cases it will happen faster than you've been expecting it to take place. And so, it's not like it's just one area of your life, although sometimes it is. I mean, technically it's kind of eight wands, so it could be many different areas of your life, but it is time to aim higher. It is time to choose a destination, to invest your energy, and to truly, truly go for a certain thing, or to, at the very least, shoot for it, And like I said, you're not going to come back in the same way, and something will change. I guess the downside of that something is that you might reach a state of knowledge or a state of receiving, or you might get to whatever it is you were aiming at with the Eight of Wands, and you'll get there and go, I don't think this, it's like you'll realize as soon as you get there, you're like, yeah, this isn't necessarily what I wanted, actually, not at all. Or sometimes, you won't aim properly and you'll miss the mark and you'll veer off course. I mean, the good news is you got eight chances. So, you're going to make a hit on some level, but it is literally authorizing you to take a chance, to aim at a new trajectory, to pull a trigger in your life, to unleash a series of events that they're going to create change. And so there you go. I see your comments there. Determined to find higher self, and my thoughts are all about aiming for the awakening of my gifts. I would say make that your sole focus. Truly, truly invest your energy into it. Make a decision that is going to change you, a decision on some level. And that's where the Eight of Wands really, really kicks in. Just, like I already said, be careful what you wish for. That's the downside of the Eight of Wands, you guys. Be careful what you wish for, because Eight of Wands, you might suddenly go, damn it, I'm going to do that. I'm doing it. And then you'll start doing it. And then you'll be like, oh shit. Okay. No, I don't want it. I didn't want to do this. That's the downside of it. Careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. I usually choose to make it a good thing. But anyway. Some of you guys actually saw me drool there. It'll happen. It's just inevitable. Angela Ellison says, I've had a white dragon too. It came out in a Reiki session and the practitioner saw it, right? I honestly believe you, man. It definitely happens. For a lot of us, you guys, when we're trying to understand what we're encountering within the mind's eye, especially based upon what you're doing or the activities that you're involved in, especially if it involves spiritual work or energetic movement within the body, as you learn to open the third eye and kind of crystallize that breath and be present within that internal state, you will at many different intervals begin to perceive some of the other beings that are sharing that space with you. And so it makes absolute sense that you were in a Reiki session and somebody perceived a white dragon. And, maybe some of it is just due to the nature of being open on a spiritual manner. In some cases it'll be due to it being an actual guide or a being that's kind of sliding through. And they're definitely out there, man. They are definitely out there. I remember in the QHHT session I had back in September, there was periods where there was this being that was talking through me, and I could see it kind of over on my left side. And it was definitely a reptilian. It was a very, very ancient reptilian energy, a very darkly colored reptilian, a very, very physical being, a very physical being. I choose to believe that it is a flesh and blood being that exists in what we might call, get ready to cringe, some of you guys, an inner earth state within the earth itself, or at least that's what was shown to me. But it was, oh man, talk about being there. It was there, which, for some people, that's where their ability to, perceive such things will leave. And so take it with a grain of salt. But yeah. Thanks, everybody. I think we're going to do one more. We're going to do one more. Boom. There we go. Somebody rolled by. It's Angela Ellison again. If there's time, a card about what I saw in a singing bowl session recently. Yeah, let's see what shows up. For those of you guiding and a parent of the singing bowl situation in which a certain thing or an energy was perceived, we're just looking for anything that needs to be known about that. Honestly, it feels like you have a very awake and open third eye. And so I think you were probably in a state in which you were very open to perceive certain energies around you. I think it kind of depends upon the nature of what it is you perceive. But honestly, I would imagine that there's a relevance to it. But let's pull a card. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Well, you were definitely looking at something. Let's be real. You got a three of wands, which is you literally looking out onto the horizon, perceiving the things that are coming toward you, perceiving energies that are showing up in your life as options or directions or paths. When the three of wands is out, yes, you're going to see something, you're going to perceive something, and the whole truth is neither here nor there. It's neither good nor bad. It's not right or wrong. It's something that you'll have to investigate on a deeper level. With the three of wands, spirit is telling you that there are options or directions or energies approaching you. It doesn't mean, something good is going to happen. It doesn't mean it's bad. It could be both. It's going to be up to you to investigate whatever appears or whatever shows up on a deeper level. That's where the understanding comes in. But it's what we call one of very few short-term change indicators, where it's spirit informing you that in the next few months or in the very near future, you're going to be receiving a number of options, sometimes confirmations, sometimes signs, sometimes messages about what it is you're looking out on the horizon for. Like I said, the bad part is it might not be anything that you're looking for. We don't know what's in those ships until they get here. And so, I would say if you're just wondering about whatever it was that you perceived, you certainly perceived something. In this physical situation, there's no question whether or not there's ships down there. They definitely are. It's just more about investigating and peering deeper into what it represents and what is to come in the near future that's really going to teach you about what it is. And Selena said it. It's real. It is. It's definitely real. Nobody, and maybe you're referring to something else, Selena, but I'm just using, I am using this to back up what we were saying, because three of wands is definitely real. There will be no question about something approaching you. It's just not necessarily always something that you're going to want to dive into, but there's multiple chances. So become adventurous, become investigative, and yeah. Dennis Lindsay rolled through. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for being here. I hope that helps everybody. We're just scanning through looking for any other questions or comments. Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Before we go, let me know if you have any additional questions. As a lot of you will know, we're going to be doing this again on Saturday, November 11th. I'll be real, the most common time in which we usually do groups is around 4 p.m. Eastern. There's a likelihood that we'll do it around 4 p.m. Eastern, but I gotta look at my schedule actually. But yeah, we're gonna be doing a members only meetup, doing some more readings and connection. Honora will be here Saturday, November 11th. You can look on somewhere on the YouTube page. It might be buried, you guys. I gotta be real. If you do want to be there, you will have to join this channel. You can join at either one of the levels, but please do join us. It's just a little moment of giving back to those of you guys that have been throwing in a few dollars every month for us in the background. And so join us if you can. Join us if you feel called. We're going to be doing a lot more of what we are doing right here, right now. Feng Shui Susan says, fascinating. I would love to hear more about the Templars. Thank you. It has been a ongoing understanding of mine for many years. When I first started to uncover what we call past life data, for me was 2018. I think was the really no, it was also, yeah, I think around 2018 was the year when that really showed up. And there was a number of processes and kind of groups and just sessions that I had done with other people around that time, and these Templar energies kept showing up, and at first I didn't know what they were. I had to go research it. But it was, these sort of dudes wearing these tunics and these kind of, ceremonial garb, and it had that big red kind of cross thing. And there was one experience in particular, which was during a trauma release exercise that we were doing at a retreat that year in 2018, in which, in going through this very deep and long and involved trauma release process where you just release wavelengths of trauma trapped within the physical body, namely the psoas muscle. We were going through these, exercises over and over and over again. And there's this stage where, the body kind of exhausts itself and you go deeply inward into old experiences and old remembrances. And there was a moment in which I appeared in front of a group of all of these men or just people, and they were all wearing that Templar outfit. It was like this armor, and they were wearing robes, and they all had this kind of red kind of X or this cross over them. And it got really incredibly detailed. I viewed many wars and, many times of death within that moment, many gruesome things that would kind of flash before the mind's eye, so many things that you can't really grab onto them. And in at kind of the end of that experience, I was face to face with what was essentially, this is always kind of a strange idea to kind of visualize what it is that I'm talking about here. It was a gigantic eye, one huge eye, and it kind of had almost like a wisp of energy, like this, almost like a tentacle effect coming out of the bottom of it. But it was essentially this giant eye presented itself in the middle of all of these beings that were just standing there kind of looking at me. And I knew within that moment, and there were some messages that were given to me in that moment that I probably will never repeat, but there was an understanding that occurred within that moment, that this was a return of a certain type of energy that was coming back into my life. And what happened was I actually gave consent for that energy to go right into my left eye. And it was very much like a like an energy kind of, went inside me. And I noticed in the days and weeks after that, honestly, it's still there, that this sort of opening kind of appeared within my field of vision. The kind of opening that you'll perceive every time you blink your eyes. And you know how it's almost like you'll kind of look at the sun for a moment, and it'll burn an imprint inside your eye. And so every time you blink your eye, you'll kind of just see this shape. And for me, it actually caused an opening within the left eye that, at the time, I actually thought there was something wrong with my eyes. I went to the eye doctor that year. You know what I mean? It was like I got an exam and there was nothing wrong with me. It was this sort of opening that had appeared there, and it's still there to this day. What I believe it was a return of a form of guiding energy or an aspect of self that had been observing me. Um, at that time of my life, and it was energy that was returning from those timelines of experience. And some people would be really creeped out by that. There's a lot of negative folklore in conspiratory circles around, like, droning or stuff that would be placed in the body when we start talking about all of people's misconceptions around the nature of implantation and whatnot. So it was a really weird experience that at the time I didn't really talk about. I mean, I talked about it with the people at the retreat, and I was like, "You guys, this energy went in my eye," and it was a powerful experience. And it's funny because it's like, still to this day, I will close my eyes and I can still see this little blue opening, kind of up and to the left in my field of view. And there were kind of processes where I was doing of breath work at the time, some Wim Hof breathing, where we were kind of really hyper oxygenating the body. And there were stages in which I was able to really hold my focus upon that little circular opening within the eye, and I could see that on the other side of it were like, it was like another realm, or there was like a sky. Honestly, it sounds dumb, but there was like a sky on the other side of it. And I wish I could say what else was there. I wish I could say I went through it. I did not. I think it's just an energetic opening that was reinitiated into my energy field. And it was, I'd say, about a year after I started doing this work on a professional level. And so, we could say, evidentially from the work that was done after that, I do believe it had a positive impact. Maybe it was, reactivating some element of psychic sight within me. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. For a while, I was very concerned about it. I kind of thought there was something wrong with my eye, and I was like, what the hell? And there's definitely not. Lo and behold, I have talked to a number of people within our community in the years since that, you know, there are dedicated energetic portals within the eyes. And, some people have a technological version of that can be created and enhanced. Other people will have an organic version of that can be created and enhanced. And I've noticed there is a lot more energy that goes through my left eye already. I noticed somebody mentioned that in the chat. And so I think it is kind of a much more active portal. I have noticed that in a lot of the work that I've done, a lot of you guys have heard me say this over time, like focus on the left eye because it's definitely an enhanced portal. And so, it's certainly something. It's certainly something, but anyway, not to make it too weird here at the end. But Selena says, I'm having issues with my right eye right now. Maybe you're having an energetic portal activation within, as we call the windows to the soul, where we perceive and receive so much data from this world through the eyes. It makes absolute sense that at certain stages, we're going to have a change in the manner in which we are able to receive energy. And so it makes sense. It makes sense. All is one says right side is the masculine side. Yes, that is definitely my understanding as well. Oh yeah, you recall Catherine Q. Totally. It's an energetic portal. It definitely works. Feng Shui Susan says, I was initiated in the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid recently. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. You probably were. I've had visions and journeys where I have gone back to that pyramid and been inside a certain chamber where you would lay in this kind of this you would literally lay inside this kind of object, and it would connect you with other versions. As like a, I don't know, maybe it's like there was like a table or a bed or a container that we would go inside one of these pyramids, and it would connect you with other versions of yourself. It would restore energy within the body. You would kind of travel through other dimensions. There was another period that I was returning to for a while where actually upper toward the top of the pyramid, there was a secret chamber, and we would sort of climb into it, and you would sit in this chair at the very top of the pyramid, and this opening would open up in the side of the pyramid, and a certain type of light would enter the body, and that also would have this sort of activating effect. You would travel into like a number of different realms, and what's wild is I've gone back to it multiple times, over and over and over again. And so those could very well be initiations that we've been through within that space. And then other people will go there physically in this life. I have not been to the pyramids physically, so I'm speaking of it from a purely astral perspective. And so anyway, thank you, Feng Shui Susan. Appreciate you. And thanks for your comments, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Please let me know if you have any other questions before we roll out the door. In the meantime, I'll just remind you one final time, we're going to be meeting up next Saturday, November 11th. I'll be announcing the time, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a group encounter, doing some more readings and just answering questions. And we will have a Nora with us. Hopefully, I think she will. If she doesn't have anything else going on, she may very well. It is likely, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't. So we have a general agreement that that's going to happen. But even if she's not there, I will be there. And so That said, thank you. Thank you, White Swan. I appreciate you. Yes, you can also book a private session with us. We're working most days a week right now, pretty almost every single day. Pretty much, pretty much. I think we do have some days off in the coming weeks, and so who knows, maybe they'll fill up. But but yeah, you can always book a session with us at rememberyourmission.com. It is the only thing I do in this life at this stage, which I'm honored to say that is the only thing I do. And then at times I'm like, it's the only thing I do. You know, it's both good and also intense. It's like you kind of give yourself over to this process or a certain type of energy, and you agree to have this very, very particular type of experience with people over and over again. And um, it's a very, very strange and unique honor to be able to do what it is I do. A lot of you guys know I never knew that's what was going to happen for me in this life. And so I realize the more we do it, the more people keep calling us to do it. So we must be doing something right. But so, yeah, you can definitely book a session with us at rememberyourmission.com. And I guess, well, yeah, we will. We'll do a final question. Maybe that's the sign my voice is getting weird. Interesting right there at the end. But Selena says, have you seen Shadow Man? Not like shadow people. I've seen him twice before I got upgraded after deep purging. You know what I have? I definitely have. I think we talked about it on another live, but my God, yes. I'll be real. You know what I haven't seen? I don't think I've ever seen the Hat Man. A lot of people talk about the Hat Man entity. I know Hat Man's out there. I can perceive it. You know, it's like an energy that you can feel is present with us in the multidimensional hierarchy of beings and consciousness. But I myself have not perceived the Hat Man. I have been in direct face-to-face contact with shadow beings. And it was not good. It was very, very, very dark time in my life, extremely dark. And it's like we acknowledged each other. I saw them, they saw me. It was almost like you nod to each other in the hall and you realize it is what it is. And I'm grateful that we got out of that scenario. It's not a factor of my life now, but we definitely have come face to face with shadow beings. What are they? You know, I think that they are a very good example of when we are perceiving a lower fourth dimensional life form, or at times what we would call a negative entity. Or it could even be what some people call an archon. It could be also, you know, negatively aligned earthbound spirits, sometimes people that have once lived on the earth plane that have been trapped in the lower astral realms. I think all of those things at times can show up as a shadow being. I think that when it shows up in a more fully formed apparition form of a shadow being, I would like to think that those are an example of a more activated version of that energy, when it's more sentient, when it's more embodied, when it's been more highly charged and able to navigate the space in between the physical and the non-physical plane on such a level that they can create damage, they can create fear. I'm sure there's good shadow people, you know, I'm choosing to believe that there are, but I gotta be real, I haven't encountered, you know, what I would call a positive, benevolent shadow form. You know, I leave room for their existence, but it's not been a thing I have run into yet. But they're definitely out there. They're definitely real. I remember having this weird, I guess I'll kind of end with this weird random anecdote. I remember being a kid and hanging out at my grandma's house when I was a kid, and I had a couple uncles, you know, that were a lot older than me, as you could imagine. And I remember one of them was he was going through a really dark time in his life, and he would do this thing where he would just lock himself in the bathroom with, you know, the lights out, and just sit in there and drink alcohol. And just, you know, I remember going to the door and being like, I gotta go to the bathroom, you know, let me in. And I could hear him in there saying, it's all in your mind, it's all in your mind, it's all in your mind. And I didn't understand what it was at the time, and I just knew, like, whoa, he's going through something, you know what I mean? Damn, you know, you just kind of acknowledge it. I remember later on when I was a lot older, I remember hearing my mom and him talking about it. You know how adults will have this conversation thinking you're not there, you know what I mean? They'll think you're not just standing around the corner listening. But later on, like a couple of years or so later, I heard, my mom and my uncle talking, and he was like, "They're back. The shadow people. They're back." And he was talking about how he had to hide from them in the bathroom, and he would literally go in the bathroom and turn the lights out. And I'm sure that didn't make it any better, but it was a thing that was my first time ever hearing what a shadow person was. And he was like, "The shadow people are back." And I was like, "What? The shadow people?" I did not understand what they were, but I could tell he was really going through something at the time. And you always have those moments, as a kid, where you have a weird discovery of some destructive type of adult behavior that, when you look back on it, was most likely caused by some form of negative spiritual interaction. And I remember at that time, when he was going through all that stuff, I remember going in the bathroom, where he would hide. And I remember looking for something under the sink, and it was just all bottles. You know what I mean? It was all alcohol. The entire under the sink in the bathroom was filled with alcohol. And I was like, "What?" And you know how, like, you and your child mind, you don't understand the severity of that kind of dysfunction. And I was just like, "What? Why are all these beer bottles under the, like under the bathroom sink?" Not realizing that this was this place where a person was, trying to seek safety and, medicate away some kind of apparition or some beings that were showing up. And it was interesting. It was, the first time I'd ever heard of such things. And so, it's no wonder that decades later I came face to face with such beings in my own way, in a very, 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 very negative form. And I wouldn't say hatefully negative. I wouldn't say that these shadow beings carried an energy in which, it was not a violent energy. It was not a hateful energy. It was an energy of self-destruction. At least the ones that I encountered, it was like they wanted to experience self-destruction through the energy of me, through what I was doing at the time. And it was like they kind of they very effectively, for people who are unaware, they will influence you to engage in certain types of behavior that, man, it was bad. It was bad. It was not a good time. I would say the stage when we live with shadow people, I want to say that was 2007, 2008. Yeah. It was a long time ago. It was a weird time. But yeah, anyway, thank you, Selena, for asking that question. It gets pretty weird out there. In the meantime, once again, please do join us this coming November 11th. I'll be announcing a time. It's a members-only meetup where we're going to be doing readings and gathering together. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a little bit of energy work. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I do request, if you can, please do share this video wherever you can. Please share this video. We are in a very interesting and kind of easily ignored kind of little background offshoot off ramp multi-dimensional trailer park over here on the other side of like the YouTube tracks. And so anything you can do, put a like on this video, share this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not done so. And yes, we will be back in the coming weeks. We do have an interview that's going to be coming up, and probably a couple shows we're going to do with people on this channel in November. Just pray that I'll get my shit together. And as things calm down, we will move into just a couple other different forms of shows and stuff that we want to do in the coming months. And so in the meantime, once again, thank you everyone for being here. It is an honor to connect with you over this strange journey. I pray that you've had a positive Halloween experience. My prayer is you will continue to overeat candy over the coming days. I guarantee you that I will. It's like a weakness right now. It's there and it's really cheap, and whatever. I'll just probably be in the background eating some candy after this. But take really good care of yourselves. Thank you for being a part of our channel, and just for finding value in these strange conversations and these weird little hangouts that we do. And so in the meantime, we'll see you in the future, you guys, live from the multi-dimensional trailer park. Please, grab your trash on the way out. Bring a hammer next time. You may need it. keep banging away at whatever it is you're trying to create in this world, and understand that you absolutely have a purpose. And I believe if you have found this channel, it is nearly always because you are walking the path of intuitive activation, or just some form of multidimensional, activation in your own right. And so thank you for finding us, and we will see you in the future, everybody. Boom.